Welcome into another edition of the Jordy Culotta Show right here on this wet Thursday morning. Looking forward to a good show coming up today as we will be talking to Tam Davis, Tamara Davis, who was just promoted inside LSU football. Looking forward to catching up with Tam as she was named Director of Player Relations earlier this week on Tuesday. She'll stop by here at 7:30 this morning. One second.
Oh, the search for the remote. Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good. That's a early test for us.
A light group this morning, just me and Lizzie, as Katie will be here after carpool, and Nick with the hot muggy morning. Sometimes the undisclosed location can get a little steamy,
A little steamy, a little slick outside also.
A little slick. So Nick going to handle his duties from the house this morning, and Shea Dixon is going to stop by at some point here at the undisclosed location. Should be a second hour entrance from our boy Shea D, as we'll talk a little bit about LSU spring football. We'll talk a little bit about the recruiting trail. We'll talk some stuff with Shea coming up in the second hour today, as he'll be inside of the undisclosed location. Also talking LSU football today with one of the best to ever do it. Kevin Faulk will stop by, new LSU running backs coach. I say new, he's been on the job for a couple of years now, as he'll stop in, talk some rotation. He has a couple of veterans in Tyrion Davis-Price, and, of course, John Emery and some guys coming in. We'll ask him how his thoughts are on the running back rotation. Also, Coach Ed Ogeron in his latest press conference mentioned that Derek Davis, the safety signee for this latest recruiting class, could be getting some snaps or did get some reps at running back earlier this week. We'll ask Coach Kevin Faulk if that is a potential of sticking there through spring practice and through fall camp, or is it just a need for bodies over the next couple of weeks? So we'll talk to Coach Kevin Faulk coming up in the second hour today. Always looking forward to our conversation with Coach Faulk. And then Ben Mintz will stop by at straight up 8 a.m. as Mintzy, who has been out in Colorado opening up casinos for Barstool Sports. He was on a heater last week as he played the money line on Abilene Christian. Also,
when you're hot, you're hot.
Yes, indeed. And that has been Mintzy's motto here early on in 2021. Obviously, with his success up at Barstool, we'll talk to Mintzy at 8 a.m. this morning. So Tam Davis coming in at 7:30. She'll stop by at 7:30. Ben Mintz will be here at 8 a.m. Kevin Faulk, LSU running backs coach, will stop by at 8:30 this morning, and we will also talk to Shea Dixon, as Dixon will be inside of the undisclosed location. All of our guests via the phone line this morning is brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. Remember, Real Doctors, Real Solutions with Charlie Harvey and Jason Ramazan and the crew over at Metropolitan Health Group. Our coffee every day is brought to you by Majestic Coffee. Remember, Majestic is on social media. You can find them there. And the proud coffee sponsor of the Jordy Culotta Show every day. Getting into that time of the year, right, when the calendar starts to turn over, basketball season, college basketball season, at least now in the rearview mirror from a local appeal. The tournament obviously is still going to be a draw in a couple of weekends left in the NCAA tournament as you move into Sweet 16 and Elite 8 weekend. All of that action will get started for you tomorrow, but with LSU out, the local appeal is definitely out. So where do you turn to and where do you search? What becomes your primary sport now that college basketball is over? Obviously, college baseball, with what LSU and the success that they've had and the program that they have been running, obviously brings in a ton of draw to fans around this part of the country. But the NBA doesn't necessarily move the meter as much as college baseball or college basketball. But what's now your primary focus? I'd imagine that it is baseball. And speaking of baseball, LSU baseball is on the road this weekend as they'll be taking on Tennessee. Remember, the game earlier this week versus Tulane was washed out due to some weather concerns at the box. That game will not be made up. So they will not make up the Tulane game that was originally scheduled for Tuesday earlier this week. But LSU will be on the road versus the Volunteers for 3 games beginning on Friday. That first pitch scheduled for 5:30 from Knoxville. And some of the storylines going in is that Landon Marceau is on a roll right now as he's gone 31 1/3 scoreless innings for LSU as he gave up 1 unearned run and 2 hits in 7 innings of action versus Mississippi State. He struck out 3, but right now he's among the best in the country at his rate. So Marceau, the Tigers taking off to Tennessee this weekend. Is it the NBA? The trade deadline looming today in the NBA, and the Pelicans going to be some players there, whether it's giving up assets or being on the lookout for some players. But it looks like here early on in trade deadline talks as it expires at 2 o'clock today, Lonzo Ball and J.J. Redick seem to be on the block. Ball right now, as Adrian Wojnarowski says over at ESPN.
I mean, you're in the right profession, my guy.
ESPN says, Woj says that the Nuggets would be a good fit. Chicago might be a good fit, but that the Pelicans are obviously shopping Ball right now. They are scheduled to play Denver tonight. Are we having audio problems? I'm popping in and out. They are scheduled to play Denver tonight, and they'll be at home. And right now, 2 on the injury list is Lonzo Ball and J.J. Redick. You would think that would be to make sure and keep those guys healthy, but it looks like with J.J. Redick's expiring contract, he's shooting a career low 30% from 3-point range. He still has value because of his post-game or his postseason experience. Pelicans are obviously looking for a trade partner. They're talking and entertaining the idea of possibly buying out J.J. Redick's contract before the deadline to make sure that they can shop him and move him. So Pelicans going to be a player today within the NBA trade discussion. But where does your attention go? Are you all college baseball now? You all NBA? You in on a little bit of both?
I think it's got to be a little bit of both. I'm always interested in the Tigers baseball. SEC plays has started. Obviously, Mississippi State wasn't the first series that you want to start off with because they're an absolute wagon. But I think the Tennessee series will be like a nice way to LSU see if we find our level and see where we kind of sit in the pecking order. And then I'd love to be interested in the Pelicans if it would be. It's just so maddening to watch. Like, I'm obviously interested in Zion, and I actually like the nucleus of that team. I don't want to see Lonzo Ball go, especially if Zion's beating down the door to keep him.
Yeah.
That's my initial thought is that if you want to keep Zion, you want to keep him happy, and it's not like Lonzo Ball's a slouch. So if that's his guy, you keep his guy.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting what happens because Ball has obviously been a piece in a discussion for the Pelicans on trying to move somebody, and I think a lot of it is because of the emergence of Zion and really his new role within the Pelicans. I mean, his ability to bring the ball up, distribute, drive the ball. He's just really turned into this incredible player, really probably faster than Griffin and the Pels executives' thoughts. Or I don't even know if this was the outlook on him.
Well, especially because how they brought him along. It was in his first year, it was, minutes restriction. They're bringing him along slow. And now they're in fourth gear. They're just letting him roll, and they're seeing the full power of what Zion can do. And this is when you start building around him, essentially. If whatever you can find that you think will better suit Zion, because he's your star. He's your guy that you're building around. It's evident.
New Orleans will try to keep its 3-game home win streak intact tonight when they play the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets are in town for a 7 o'clock tip-off over at the Smoothie King Center. Pelicans have gone 11-16 against Western Conference opponents and right now sit 8th in the Western Conference as far as efficiency on the defensive end. Josh Hart has been a big reason for that. As we said, guys that are on the injury report for today, Lonzo Ball and J.J. Redick, both of those guys on the trade block. So 2 o'clock this afternoon, NBA trade deadline. Look, for me, it's a little bit of both as well. And then you throw in the spring football aspect to it and really what's happening right now within free agency and around the NFL. This is really a good time of the sports calendar when you talk about action and being able to keep interest and things that are going on. Obviously, you would love to still be alive from a college basketball standpoint and going into this weekend. I think that this weekend is as good of a sports weekend when you have a dog in the fight, when you have a rooting interest that you can find. To me, it's Super Bowl feeling type level. It's NFC championship game. It's BCS, or not BCS, but it's college football playoff type stuff. When you can get into a tournament type game like LSU was in on Monday night versus Michigan in the Sweet 16 and playing for the Elite Eight and then getting to the Elite Eight. I know that everybody still references that weekend in Atlanta just in 2006, the last time LSU really experienced a lot of success in this tournament. And think about it, man. I mean, everybody can recall where you were, who you were with, where you watched the game, the emotions that spurred those when watching him, whether it was Tyrus Thomas swatting Duke for a couple of swats within the last couple of minutes, or Garrett Temple locking J.J. Redick down, Glenn Davis, Daryl Mitchell, all of the memories from that tournament. You really recall wherever you were, who you were with, those moments. So it's always great to have a dog in the fight this weekend coming up. LSU was bounced earlier this week, but with the sporting calendar really turning over and Zion down in New Orleans and the Pelicans trying to put it together, they're not there yet. They don't seem like they're really close to becoming real players on the NBA Western Conference scene. But with a superstar like Zion, there's a lot of hope towards the future. And with what they're doing and shopping today for the NBA trade deadline, shows you that they're trying to make moves. I mean, they're trying to bring in the right fits. And I think this is a challenge for David Griffin. We talked about this earlier this week with what Zion is turning into and what he's evolving into is someone that you really, there's no comp for. I mean, the last couple of days I've been watching NBA coverage, whether it was on TNT, ESPN, or just reading stuff, and there has been comps from everyone from Charles Barkley to Shaquille O'Neal on Zion, and I don't think he really fits those two comps. There's just no box you can really put him in. So there's going to have to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for David Griffin, Swin Cash, Trajan Langdon, and the entire staff and executive committee for the Pelicans to find four guys that can play alongside Zion and be at their best. I mean, do you need a real point guard if this guy can bring it up? I mean, do you need some space guys that can space the floor, and when he penetrates, you got somebody camped out on the 3-point line that would knock down shots? You would think J.J. Redick would be that guy, or at least fit that type of player, that type of mold. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Pelicans and the types of moves they make coming down the stretch here and going into the trade deadline today, this afternoon. Daily, we're brought to you by Go Chevrolet. Remember, online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Always appreciate our friends down there, Lee Carney and Nick Richard, who have started Go Chevrolet. And look at the team that they are building over at Go Chevrolet. If you're in the automotive industry and you see some of the people they're bringing over, like John Dillon, who they hired earlier this week, if you know anything about cars here in the local area, Dillon has been an absolute stud when it comes to selling cars, getting you in for the best deals, the best rates. Now he's over at Go Chevrolet. They're building an incredible team over there. Stop in and see him. You mentioned we've mentioned Michael Divinity is down there selling cars for the fellows. But if you want great deals on brand new Chevrolets and a great selection of used and pre-owned inventory, stop in and see Go Chevrolet today in Laplace, right there off 10. Whether you're going to New Orleans, coming from New Orleans, stop in and see Nick Richard, Lee Carney, and the crew, as they are the proud title sponsors here, and we appreciate them so greatly on the Jordy Culotta Show for what they do for us over at Go Chevrolet. Stop in and see them. Saw this yesterday as well. The New Orleans Superdome is close to signing a groundbreaking deal to make Caesars Entertainment the naming rights sponsor to the New Orleans Superdome. I am all in, man.
If you don't think sports gambling's coming, look at the writing on the wall,
exactly.
brother.
I mean, what was it? Just a couple of years back, I think that Tony Romo obviously was still in the league, but he tried to host, if I recall, a fantasy football event, and he tried to do it in a casino, and the NFL stepped in and shut that down. It was actually a Supreme Court in 2018 overturned or this is what happened when the courts got a hold of the gambling restrictions, and have really seen that legalized and the rules and laws around that eased up. But I mean, it was 6 years ago that Tony Romo was not allowed to host a fantasy sports convention in a casino because the NFL thought that it would be thought that it would be a sketchy, kind of shady look. And here you are in 2021 with the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, which that contract expires in July, are now in negotiations and now talking to Caesars Entertainment about the naming rights of the Superdome. And I get some of this information from my friend Jeff Duncan, who wrote a great write-up over at The Athletic, talking about some of these back and forths on Caesars and the possibility of the New Orleans Saints going into a partnership with Caesars Entertainment. I think that first and foremost, I think it makes great sense. I think it's fantastic branding for both sides. When you think of South Louisiana, when you think of the Gulf South, when you think of New Orleans, one of the names or one of the word associations that goes with the city is gambling, right? I mean, betting.
How many times have you stumbled into Harrah's a little too late with not a lot of
Absolutely.
money?
I mean, just the city feels like gamblers. The city feels like it is embraced gambling.
It's a place of risk.
Absolutely. I mean, it is who we are as people. That's why we have laughed at the sports betting bill being shut down in the legislature over the past couple of seasons. Now it has since passed, but the video poker owners and the people that were trying to stop that bill were really relying on the Bible Belt argument for the state of Louisiana. It was like, come on.
You're just watching water go through.
Come
a fence
on,
at
man.
Let's break this thing down.
We know who we are. Let's
Right.
embrace who we are. And I think that this is absolutely makes a ton of sense. And right now, Mercedes-Benz is currently under contract into July, as we said, as the rights partner right now. But Saints owner Gail Benson and team executives were recently in Las Vegas to meet with representatives of Caesars to work towards finalizing this deal, according to Duncan and the Athletic. The deal will pay the New Orleans Saints about $10 million a year over the next 20 years. A spokesman for Caesars Entertainment said that after a long and strong tie to New Orleans and the state of Louisiana, Caesars Entertainment, they are proud of their continued partnership with both the Saints and the Pelicans. However, right now, they have nothing to share beyond their current valuable relationship with the teams. Caesars is rapidly expanding, and they just since announced earlier this year a $3.7 billion purchase of British bookmakers William Hill, and in New Orleans right now they have a 9-figure renovation happening to their local casino, which will rebrand under the Caesars name. That's Harrah's. You were just talking about Harrah's. That is right now going under major reconstruction and will bear the Caesars name once it becomes open and once those renovations are made. The parent company of Harrah's is Caesars, so they're just going to rebrand that local casino in New Orleans right there on Poydras. They're going to rename it and rebrand it.
It's still going to be called Harrah's. I mean,
yes.
I mean, it's just been Harrah's forever, you know? Like,
But-
whatever year, like, let's go to Harrah's.
But
That's
listen,
what
I
you
mean,
do.
from Harrah's standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. You know,
yeah.
both ends of Poydras.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you've got the casino on one end, and you got the dome on the other end.
Just mainlining entertainment.
The first time we saw this was in 2016, right, when the Miami Dolphins struck a deal with Hard Rock Casino. They currently play in Hard Rock Casino Stadium in South Beach. You've seen this in the NHL. The Arizona Coyotes play in an arena named after a casino. The WNBA's Connecticut Sun plays at the Mohegan Sun Casino. So Mercedes-Benz became the first to put its name on the Mercedes-Benz Superdome back in 2011 after the Saints struck a deal with the state that gave them naming rights over the facility. The Saints and Mercedes-Benz have been in a deal since 2011. In its newest and latest negotiations, Mercedes decided not to renew their contract on the Superdome. In fact, they struck up a deal with the Atlanta Falcons just a couple of years ago when the Atlanta Falcons opened up their new facility with a 27-year agreement with Atlanta between Mercedes-Benz. So you kind of saw the writing on the wall. If you were New Orleans, if you were a Saints executive, if you were Gail Benson, I'd imagine some of those discussions behind closed doors were pretty imminent that this was going to happen. But Caesars Palace or Caesars Entertainment right now is expected to take effect. The naming rights deal is expected to take effect in July as soon as this contract between Mercedes and the Dome expires. Remember, the Dome is going through some facelifts of their own.
Well, yeah, that's why Mercedes got out of there. They went younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got.
Yeah, right. You see the plastic coming, man.
Exactly.
See the plastic coming. $450 million renovation coming to the New Orleans Superdome, which began in January of 2020. That's expected to be completed before the start of the 2024 football season. In some of those facelifts, you'll see new corner entry lobbies, field level box suites, expanded concourses, a new commissary with upgraded kitchens, improved elevators. Commissary, excuse me.
Commissary.
Yes. Improved elevators and escalators, standing room only viewing decks in the terrace level, and a new visiting locker room. Stadium is going to be featured coming up for the 2022 NCAA Men's Final Four. So the Final Four will be there next year. The 2024 College Football Playoff semifinal game will be back in 24, and then of course the 2025 Super Bowl. So it looks like the new the naming rights for the Mercedes-Benz Superdome will now be changed over to Caesars Entertainment Dome, which I think is fantastic. I love it. I think it's a great fit.
Don't you think the NFL has kind of had this in play for a while? They let the NBA kind of dabble in the gambling waters, and they wanted to see how it would play out, and they waited just to see how they could monetize it. Huh? That's what the NFL does.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, you want a guinea pig. You want to see how it works, see how it's embraced, see how it's accepted, and I thought the NBA has done a great job. Adam Silver has been very progressive in that standpoint of trying to push the meter on that, just kind of see what they could get away with, see what the possibilities are in gambling. And look, gambling brings beyond interest and intrigue to the sport. You're able to create fandom. I mean, really, which people are lacking now. Now, I know that there's kind of a push and a pull and a struggle between fantasy sports and the fan experience with the team aspect, because fantasy kind of turns you into an individual fan, right? I mean, you're a Leonard Fournette fan and you're also a Baker Mayfield fan. But with gambling, that brings in so much interest to one team, and it does so much for sports overall, for the overall product of sports. I mean, you take the gambling aspect out of the NBA, out of MLB, out of the NFL, and I wonder really, truly how much of the viewing audience you lose that really cares, that gives a damn.
How much? What percentage would you put on that?
I would say baseball that it would be more than 60%.
Yeah, because it's daily.
It's daily, and like the real degenerates are playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, first 5 innings
just
Saturday
betting the board.
Yeah.
I would think that the NBA would probably be the safest out of them, but I think that they would still take a significant hit because I think that the NBA's core fan base is a little bit younger. It's more
individualized too. They're like you said with the fantasy. That's what basketball is. They root for players instead of teams.
Yeah. It's more around individuals, like you said. So I think that the NBA would probably be the safest in that equation. But I think that Major League Baseball would be dead. I mean, I think that they would be almost crippled by something like that.
Yeah, they've gone hand in hand for so long too. Like that's what you think of when you think of old school picking up the paper and going through the lines. You think of like the people in New York looking at lines on the kitchen table, and it's baseball games that are going on at 2:30.
Yeah,
so it's been going on forever.
And like I said, the action's all day.
Yeah,
you can bet all day. And then the NFL.
I think the NFL has made a huge push in that.
Well, I think they see it.
Yeah.
They understand that, a lot of their core fans are growing older. I think a lot of the social discussions over the last 5 years has really brought in a new wave of fans, and it's also turned off a lot of existing fans. So there was a turnover there from the customer base for the NFL, and I think gambling was a major part of the business model to make sure and either retain fans, attract fans, and keep them involved and engaged. And I think, look, I think that we're probably within the next 5 years, you have in your seat the ability to make a bet. I mean, you're sitting inside of Caesars Entertainment Superdome on a field level suite in 2024, and at your fingertips, whether it's on your phone or whether it's in a device inside that suite, you're able to strike an instant bet. Like, I'm talking about like either a quarter bet or a individual play bet. I mean, like, there is going to be the ability, in my opinion, within the next 5 years of all sporting events. I think that you'll be sitting in a college basketball arena. I think you'll be sitting in an NFL football stadium. You'll be sitting in an NBA arena, a hockey arena, a college football stadium, and have the ability to make a bet within that facility, right? Not just on your phone, whether it's with your guy or whether it's with your service or your online service. I think that you'll be able to do it within that Caesars Entertainment Superdome. You'll be able to place a bet at a Caesars Entertainment window within the dome that you can just do digitally, because that's where it's going.
Oh, you know how many times I've been in the bowels of Tiger Stadium at halftime trying to get a second half bet on the Tigers?
Yes.
Just walking around for service and waiting for a hot dog. I mean, that's just what you do. If you could go to a centralized location, first of all, the lines might be ridiculous, because that's what they have in like over.
It's all going to be digital.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying in like soccer stadiums, that's what they have. They have like bays that you can go to and put bets in overseas. But yeah, once you be able to put it on your phone or you have a tablet, dude,
it's gonna be like Amazon.
You're just gonna be watching.
It's gonna be like Amazon. I mean, like, how many times or your first experiences in shopping with Amazon are you like, I just checked out. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
be here in 2 days.
I just bought it. I mean, like, it was 3 clicks and it's on the way to my house. I think it's going to be that easy for you to place a bet within a stadium on something that you're looking at. Like, I'm talking about like next play, run or pass.
Quick, get
you know
it
what I mean? Like,
yeah, don't even check the odds.
Absolutely, just beep, beep. I mean, it's going to be that type of access,
instantaneous,
and that type of grip in relationship with franchises, pro leagues, college sports, and gambling. I mean, you can't necessarily pin that to Las Vegas anymore because now it's being legalized all over our country. But a lot like the model of Europe. You know what I mean? If you've been to Europe, if you've seen Europe, I mean, on every corner, you can place a bet. In England, I mean, you can place a bet on every single corner. It's almost like liquor stores in America. You know what I mean? We have liquor stores. They've got casinos.
Let's just combine those two.
Which they've done.
Yeah.
RMB Builders brings you the Jordy Culotta Show daily here. Remember, 921-7062 is the phone number to get in touch with Rhett and his crew today. Katie will be in here shortly as she is running carpool this morning, but she's got Rhett and her crew over, Rhett and his crew over at the All Goods house and knocking out all of the repairs over there. And she has been thoroughly impressed with just, if nothing else, the organization. I think she told the story a couple of days ago how Rhett sent over a call sheet on what was going to happen every single day at the house, what they had plans for, who was going to be there, phone numbers of contacts, things that were beginning coming in and out as far as material was concerned. No surprises. Rhett Bourgeois and RMB Builders. Get in touch with our guy, 921-7062, online, rmb-builders.com is where you can find him online as Rhett Bourgeois and the crew over at RMB Builders. They also bring you our podcast every day here. So if you're not watching us live now, which we appreciate everybody who's on right now, we see about 130 of you watching on YouTube. I see some of you over there on Facebook, which we appreciate very much. Remember, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that and share this page and tell a friend about it. But if you're not watching live, you can always catch our podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And all of that is brought to you by R&B Builders. When we come back, we will talk to Tam Davis, who got some really good news earlier this week as she has been promoted after almost nearly 20 years on the job over there with LSU football, past 15 years She's been a part of the recruiting department. Now she's been elevated and promoted to Director of Player Relations. Earlier this week, she got the word from the LSU administration. What's that mean? What's her day-to-day duties call for? We will find out next right here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered every single day by Go Chevrolet. How confident do you feel about your streaming service? Do you know if you have the right gear or not? Is Facebook and YouTube consistently letting you down? I now present to you WSN Live. WSN can help your church, your team, your community bring everyone together for one streaming service where there's no more equipment guessing, broadcast that your audience will absolutely love, and a support team that you will have around the clock. WSN Live. Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, your office, your family can be protected 24/7 with active pure technology. This NASA-based science has proven 99.9% reduction of airborne SARS-2 and COVID-19 virus in just 3 minutes. Log on now to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta.
Have a late night and can't make it for the Jordy Culotta Show at 7 a.m.? No worries. Catch us on demand on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Women are changing the game on and off the field. This week's episode of The Gridiron Show with Whitney Bro features Saints beat writer for the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com, Amy Just. Learn more about the amazing woman who digs deep into the stories surrounding the Houdat Nation. Catch our interview with Amy on the Gridiron Show YouTube channel. We're also giving away 20 units of Botox, courtesy of Johnson & Spiller's Dentistry, to one lucky winner. You can learn more about how to win on episode 3 of the Gridiron Show with Whitney Bro podcast, now streaming on all podcasting platforms.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
Remember, hit us online, JordyCulottaShow.com. You can check out the merchandise store. Any old interviews, any past interviews, archived interviews you may be looking for are all there online at JordyCulottaShow.com. If you entered our bracket challenge presented by Just Winging It, we appreciate that. But you can keep up with the leaderboard as it is updated and real time, sitting right there for you as Katie and her husband, Katie and David Alligood, are in first and second place.
No way.
Yes. I mean, that's what the leaderboard says.
Well, you would think that they would kind of diversify the portfolio a little bit if you're going to put 2 entries in, go with some different picks. Anybody that has Gonzaga still a little confident.
Got to. Gonzaga looks like a G League team. You heard Whitney Bro promoting the latest in the Gridiron Show. Make sure you are subscribed and notified for what's happening with the Gridiron Show on her and their YouTube station. They're also all over social media. One of the prospective guests is going to be Tam Davis, as Tam got the news earlier this week that she was being promoted. I put her and Whitney in contact yesterday so they can have an extensive conversation. But I've been knowing Tam for a long time. Tam's been around the LSU football department since 2002. She's seen a lot of coaches come and go, but now she is locked into her new role as Director of Player Relations, as she got the promotion, much deserved, earlier this week. Congratulations, Tam. Good morning. How are you?
Thank you. Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. Tell me what the title means. What's the responsibility day in, day out? Because it seems like if anybody has been around LSU football, and I've had the privilege to be inside the facility and see you guys work, it seems like you already are LSU football's mom. What does this Director of Player Relations mean to the new title?
Well, yeah, I'm a direct, liaison to, the coaching staff and dealing with the players every day, making sure their schedules go out, checking on their academics, their day-to-day, just making sure their life is just a little bit easier. So, things will get done smoothly. And we can go and try to win some championships here.
You've been with LSU football for 15 years. How has the game changed from your point of view? You don't play it every day, but you have so much of an impact of what happens on the field. How much has the sport of college football changed from your point of view?
The realm has changed so much because when I first started, I was a student worker, so get this. I worked for Sharon in recruiting, and we used to throw letters by hand. So I can tell you that. Times have changed, things have changed, social media has changed for the game. So everything has changed. Women in sports have changed. Yep. So, I'm just grateful to be a part of that. And it's on the rise, so I'm kind of happy for that. But the game, recruiting, I worked on the offense side of the ball and defense. So everything has changed. Honestly, the landscape has changed.
Tam Davis joining us here, the newest director of player personnel, the director of player relations, joining us now here on the Jordy Culotta Show. What about the facility that you work in, the one that you started in to the one that you show up and work in every day? Now it has a nutrition center. It's got a state-of-the-art weight room. Every office has digital components that you can tap into. How much from that standpoint does that give you all an advantage, and how much is that just keeping up with everybody around you?
Yes, it does give us an advantage, but you're always looking to get better because everybody else is changing also. Everybody else is getting better. So you're looking at other programs and seeing what they do and what can we do best to, make sure our student athletes get the best. When I started working here, we were in an administration building, second floor, small offices, had like 10 student workers in one room. Now our student workers, there's like 25 to staff. The room is a lot bigger. Everybody got computers. It's different. Yeah. Technology has changed. If you look at from our last building to now, I look at Doug's office. He has like a mini ESPN.
Right.
Everything is digital. Everything's a touch of a button.
2 years ago, the program was the class of the sport, right? I mean, there's arguments on whether or not that team was the greatest of all time, and I think that it will stick in that argument for a long time. You were there on the front row. Take me back to that season after spending so much time around LSU football and experiencing that run. And then what is the challenge from somebody like in your position that goes into the day-to-day functions of the program and trying to recreate that?
That year was probably, of course, it's the best I've been around ever, from top to bottom, from organization, everything, I hadn't been part of anything like that. It was unreal to go 15-0. You see it like how we prepare. You kind of see in the summertime when your team starts to develop, how they're acting, how they're engaging, kind of how good you're going to be, honestly. You can kind of feel it in the air. It's something that I can't even explain. So that year, 2019, was very special. We went in and we did what we had to do. Going into now, I can see a great, we're going in the great direction right now. COVID year was hard for us. It was hard for everybody, though. The world was something that we've never seen. Who thought we would live through a pandemic, But I think we're getting there. You know what I'm saying? We're doing great. Coach O is great. The guys are great. I'm just here to make sure their life is a little bit easier. We stay on top of their academics, constantly in contact with their parents, making sure they're getting everything that they need to be successful here. Because, as we know, kids away from home, we want them to make this feel like home, and it takes a village. It's not just me.
Sure. It's
everybody in the building, I'm just beyond grateful for this opportunity.
What about working for Coach O? I've seen you guys work together, and it seems like y'all have a great relationship. What is it like working for him, and what's the day-to-day communication like from your job title to expressing communication to what's going on with him and his team? Yeah,
Coach O is easy. We'll walk in, and if he see, if we're in the meeting, I hear something we were talking about, and I'll just let him know if I know a little background on what's going on, if something is wrong. I'll just let him know. I can go and Coach O off at any time. Be like, Coach, let me talk to you. Just some things, the pointers to help. Because sometimes as coaches, sometimes you miss a little bit of things, because it's so much. You know what I'm saying? Our coaches are in meetings already now. I'm in the office, it's quiet. Everybody already in meetings. So just some things that maybe they don't know about. Sometimes the guys may tell me something like, look, maybe we can help them in this area, or maybe we can do this. So it's just, just little tweaks here and there just to help the staff and help Coach O.
Outside looking in to the program, it looks like there is more organization. I know that organization has always been at the forefront of what Orgeron wants to do every day, but bringing back a guy like Austin Thomas in his general manager role, promoting someone like you who has been within the system and understands that, Colin D'Angelo's role being expanded. It seems like a lot of people are now kind of chipping in, not chipping into the day-to-day success, but really kind of finding their lanes, finding their roles, and just allowing them to run. That's
exactly what it is. AT has been great. You know, we talked about, you know, my role and my position, you know, years ago. So this is kind of, you know, surreal to see that it happened. Because, you know, I'm a woman in football, and, you know, it's different. You know, people like, what do you do? But it's been great, and everybody have a role here. You know what I'm saying? And we're just here to make everything better. Austin has helped us out a lot. You know, talking about our roles and just making sure that we are happy and everybody's good around the office. But if the player's happy, we're happy. And Coach O has done a great job with that. You know, they're the most important people in the building.
I probably unfairly tabbed you the mom of LSU football because Sharon Lewis is absolutely the mom of LSU football. When I think back,
I'm kind of like the big sister.
You are the big sister. You're the cool aunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like, I want to go see Tam. I don't want to go see Sharon. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah. Right.
That's right. That's right. And look, Sharon and I's relationship go back. I coached her son when she had just first gotten that job at LSU, so I've definitely seen the wrath of Sharon Lewis many a time.
Jordy. Crazy is I used to go with her to all the basketball games. So I remember you were Sean's coach.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. And I've seen Nick Saban try to get her to his program right when he got to Alabama. One of the first calls he made was to Sharon. You have been working alongside her for 15 years. Talk about her role, and then what it's obvious that you are so proud of, and you should be, because you've mentioned it a couple of times, but you're a female in football, and you are holding a very powerful position. What that means to you, and I imagine it's a very proud moment for Sharon as well.
Yes. I've been with Sharon, honestly, from day one. She came in, and we didn't have a lot of student work, so we just kind of volunteered. And so, you know, she's our associate athletic director for recruiting and alumni relations. So we always talked about where I wanted to go and where I wanted to be. Now, mind you, I was a microbiology major, and I was going to dental school because my aunt has 2 dental offices in Houston, Texas, and so I was going to do that. And my dad was honest with me. He was like, "Damn, you're not going to medical school. You can't even you will not work on a dead body." So I said, you know what? Maybe I need to change what I'm doing here, right? Let me figure it out. So with that, she just talked about, you know, I worked in her recruiting department, student worker, and I became her intern. And then a job came available, and she was like, "Tam, I think you'd be good for the job." I said, "Well, I kind of don't know what I'm doing. It's football, you know. I don't know." She said, "You'll learn it." Yeah. And honestly, she supported me from day one, pushing me, "Let's do this. Let's try this." You know, so she has been the backbone here. Yeah. And so she's always pushed the women in sports every day.
How has that role changed? Because now it seems like everywhere you look in sports, there are females in power positions and in decision-making positions. I mean, the possibilities from y'all's seat right now has to feel endless. Yes.
Yes, it's endless. It is. And it's amazing to see. We have people that I've worked with, they're all over. People that I've met is unbelievable to see. You know, friends at Alabama, friends at Kansas, friends at Ohio State. It is unbelievable, honestly. And I didn't know back when I started that it would be where it is today. It's great to see.
Yeah, I can't imagine that you could envision where it is now.
I didn't.
Tell me how you feel about this team. I'll get you out of here because I can hear your phone blowing up behind you, and I'm sure you're very busy.
Yeah.
Well, tell me how you feel about this squad right now, just from your position on how you evaluate what the feeling is around this team at this point.
Honestly, amazing. You got to watch out. You know, the best is yet to come.
Tam, I'm very proud of you. I know that you've gotten many requests, so I appreciate you squeezing us in this morning for a couple of minutes. And thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jordy. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be seeing you soon. There she is, Tam Davis, stopping by this morning as she is promoted to Director of Player Relations with LSU football, and much deserved. I can tell you that I have only gotten a slight glimpse of the day-to-day operations of LSU football. with some of the relationships that we've been able to establish and have inside the building. Just go over there a couple of days, a couple of times, and be able to just see the day-to-day workings of what goes on inside that building. It is a non-stop ball of energy, right? When your director or your leader is a guy like Ed Ogeron. I mean, at certain points he'll be walking around the hall beating a drum, you know what I mean, hitting his chest. But the meaning or what Tamara Davis and her department means to LSU football, you don't have to be up there long to realize that her voice, her presence holds a lot of it brings a lot of weight, brings a lot of scope with it. There is a lot put on what she feeds back to Ed Ogeron, the entire staff. It was good to hear her relationship with Austin Thomas, and Austin Thomas urging that role when he was here last time, and to see it come to fruition in his latest stop. I think his compliments to him, the staff, Scott Woodward, Ed Ogeron, and everybody for recognizing in what Tam's talent is and putting her. I'm telling you, this is the exact right position of where she needs to be. When you see the players and the way that they confide in her, the way that they trust her, the way that Tam takes care of the relationship between the families, between the parents. There's so much behind the scenes that we don't even realize. And I'm talking about me as even a fringe fan with a mic media member. You know what I mean? Like the wildest and most enthusiastic of LSU fans to somebody who covers the program, we really have no idea to the day-to-day operations and the little parts and things that have to happen behind the scenes for you to really roll this thing out for 10 Saturdays in the fall and be successful. 12 Saturdays in the fall. I mean, it's just, and Tam Davis is one of those people that you may not see a lot. I mean, if you're paying attention and you're looking on the sidelines and you're kind of got your binoculars out and you're scoping, you see her down there, and she's always around the program. But what it was, you know, what it means to put her into a position with executive type power and a relationship that she shares with the player, the team, and the coaching staff, I think it's invaluable. It is absolutely invaluable to the day-to-day functionality of the football team. So congratulations to Tam, as she was promoted earlier this week and had a couple of minutes there for us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We're daily. We are brought to you by Angel Oak Home Loans. Remember, over to Angel Oak Home Loans, we can get you into the house of your dreams. We can help you refinance the house that you're living in now. If you're looking for an investment property, how about a condominium? Get in touch with Angel Oak. We can help you out, buddy. Yeah. Jordy at JordyCulottaShow.com is where I can get you in touch with a team of veterans and experts in the mortgage industry. Lee Gilly and Matt Lanassa over at Angel Oak have put together an incredible team. I am proud to be a part of that team over at Angel Oak. Let us help you today, whether it's refinancing, buying or purchasing a brand new home, a second home, an investment property, a condominium, whatever it may be. Let Angel Oak help you today, and get in touch with me. Just shoot me an email. Easy. Jordy at JordyCulottaShow.com. All right, we'll get set up for the second hour today, as Ben Mintz will stop by at the top of the hour here. So in about 10 minutes, we'll link up with Ben Mintz, see how his trip was over to Colorado. We'll get his thoughts on Caesars Entertainment buying the naming rights to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That looks like it's going to take effect as soon as this contract expires in July. But just the feeling from a big company that has so much invested in gambling and playing sports, like Barstool does. We'll ask Mintz to maybe take us some behind the scenes of some of the discussions that Barstool may be having, or the expectation that Barstool has for what sports will look like in the next couple of seasons, with relationships like Caesars Entertainment and the New Orleans Saints starting to negotiate and looking like they're going to form a partnership here in the next couple of months. So what does the future of gaming and games look like? We'll talk to that about with Mintz coming up here in about 10 minutes on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered every day by Go Chevrolet. Yo. Is under new management, but it's the same old familiar names that you know here from the area. Lee Carney and Nick Richard are up and running in Laplace, Louisiana, and they want you to stop in today. But if you can't, they'll make it easy for you. They'll come to you. Log online to GoChevrolet.com. That's GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Go Chevrolet is conveniently located on Airline Highway in Laplace, Louisiana. Shop all the inventory, whether it's new or pre-owned, at GoChevrolet.com. That's GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Dr. James Johnson and Dr. Chad Spillers of Johnson and Spillers Dentistry, with 2 locations, one in Gonzales and one in Baton Rouge between Segan Lane and Bluebonnet, offer everything from ceramic crowns to pediatric dentistry, dental cleanings, Botox, extractions. They're online at johnsonspillers.com. Located in Gonzales and in Baton Rouge, seeing both new patients and existing patients. Log online to johnsonspillers.com.
If you missed the show, you can always check out our podcast, brought to you by RMB Builders, on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you can listen to podcasts.
Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, your office, your family can be protected 24/7 with active pure technology. This NASA-based science has proven 99.9% reduction of airborne SARS-2 and COVID-19 virus in just 3 minutes. Log on now to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta.
Have a late night and can't make it for the Jordy Culotta Show at 7 a.m.? No worries. Catch us on demand on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
All right, everybody's still freaking out about the shrimp and the Cinnamon Toast Crunch and the string in the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Tam Davis was fantastic, by the way. So shout out to Tam and the entire crew over at LSU Football. Just shot her a text. Gave her the thank you, and she shot back anytime. I told her, it's dangerous, Tam. We can get you back on tomorrow.
That's right. Started following us on Instagram, too, immediately.
There you go, Tam.
I saw it.
We appreciate
That's what Chef Jean-Paul did.
Yes.
And got him in trouble.
Looks like next thing you know, he's in a weekly. 3 weeks later, he's like, look, man, I'm in a business meeting. I don't know if this is going to work out today. So shout out to Tam. That's cool. We'll be back next Wednesday. Tam was fantastic, talking about the inner workings of LSU football as she was just promoted. Yeah, look, man, and deservedly so. Director of Player Relations. She's going to be fantastic as that. As we described, Sharon Lewis is the mom of LSU football. I mean, she's been there forever. I mean, Saban hired her. And one of the first hires that Saban made. And Tam's like the cool aunt. You know what I mean? Like, she's the one that you can kind of go talk and like kind of be real with. Sharon, you want to give her the facts. You just don't want to give her the entire story.
You get away with
right. Well, I told you
somebody.
Yeah, I didn't tell you, but I told Tam the rest of the story.
Right. And y'all don't meet up together. Like, y'all don't talk about what we talked about together.
Well, I think that's the deal, is that Tam can keep your secrets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's trustable.
Yeah.
She's trustable, and you have to be trustable in that spot. So we appreciate her for stopping by. Katie in her bowling outfit, pulling up here. Post carpool. How was it this morning?
It was good. Very easy. They stopped taking temperatures in the car, so now they let you get out of the car and have your temperature taken closer to the school.
Yes,
it's amazing.
I did fall into the morning drop off carpool scene for about 3 weeks while I was in transition. And I did think to myself
you're down on your luck.
as they were down on my luck.
Going through some stuff.
That's right. As that conversation before he lost his job.
He lost his morning gig.
I was thinking to myself, I was thinking to myself, which by the way, still tweeting.
Still tweeting.
Just,
Tweet right now,
just,
sure.
Just punching in the dark,
Dude,
bro.
imagine that.
That's sad.
Just lights aren't on, bro. Nobody's here.
There's nobody in the arena.
Give it up, for God's sakes, Tim.
How many drafts do you think he has saved on Twitter? It's like, I just didn't get to that one.
A lot. I just got one in the holster.
Yeah,
you just let me know.
Dale Brown, pow.
Yeah, that's right. Boom, boom. Where were we, Katie?
I think we were going to
Bowling.
talk about
Carpool.
bowling and carpool.
Yes.
About bowling.
The efficiency on the temperature checking at drop off. I thought to myself, and I didn't want to pull up on my first day and start raising hell on the carpool.
Not you.
But
No,
I was
not
like,
you.
no, not at all, not at all. But I thought there's got to be a better way.
Is there though?
There had to be a better way.
I mean, the better way is a forehead scan, but that was like COVID was more serious like a few weeks ago, apparently.
Are you just talking about carpool overall?
No, I'm talking about the temperature
COVID? When you
drop
pull up,
off.
they come into your car
they
and take
come
your
into
child's
car,
temperature.
They're taking the temperature, and I just thought,
what if we didn't
Look
have
at all the
forehead
line,
scan
bro.
temperatures anymore? What if we were still do you ever think about that? Like, what
man.
if we were still in the times we're dealing with in the mouth or
you
or
would,
the other end
you would-
temperature? Like, can you imagine your kids getting out in the morning? Like,
phrasing, but
It's a very Catholic school.
that's right, that's right. But it wouldn't happen. You wouldn't be able to do it, right?
No.
I mean, it would be.
No,
it
you
would
just
be.
wouldn't be at
But I
school,
guess you wouldn't be able to
probably.
do the virtual either if you were still doing
no.
oral
Like, who
temperature
knows where
checks.
we would
What are you on the
be?
Oregon Trail? Where are we?
I mean, seriously.
What a great game! What a great game!
God.
The Oregon Trail. Remember daily here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We are brought to you by Hub International Insurance. Hub International Insurance is the official insurance of the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Jordy Culotta Show. Be looking out for Hub. You see Hub on all of our social media posts. Make sure and give them a follow on all of their.
I feel like I'm sitting
Yeah,
like this
you do
now.
look very
like,
tight.
My legs
Yeah.
could not
You
be
do
tighter.
look very, very just
Tight.
kind of like.
It was the first thing we said. We
I
probably should have
know.
told
Like,
her,
if you
but-
want to call attention to it now, I'm
Yes.
like,
Bowling uniform, huh? Let me look at her. You look
that's why,
so nervous.
That's why I didn't wear
like
a
you're in the
skirt
principal's
to bowl.
office.
I do.
Yeah. Is
I
this
do.
been a little too short? Yeah.
Yes.
Katie, I'll go to the principal's
I'm
office.
never
right.
that aware that I only work with men, but right now,
And the men watching.
Yeah.
With bated breath.
Katie, Miss Proportion will see you now. We're going to talk about that
I
skirt,
definitely
young
have a
lady.
uniform violation.
You're going to talk about that
right now.
skirt, young lady.
Thank
the
God we
ruler
don't
out.
have
Go
uniform
get the nurse.
violations
Yeah.
in here.
Not the nurse, the nun.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, we were
gonna
gonna get back onto the Cinnamon Toast Crunch saga.
It's weird.
It's weird.
It's super weird.
One thing before the update, Jensen Karp was a child
Another
rapper.
fish, yeah.
He was a child battle rapper. You can look it up and see
Oh,
it.
Hot Carl. That was his name.
And he had a track on the It's Complicated soundtrack, too. Remember that movie? It's Complicated?
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson. So anyway, his post went viral. And I mean, this is not funny, but it's just par for the course. Now multiple women have come forward on Twitter accusing him of emotionally abusive and manipulative behavior.
Gosh, bro.
Both in relationships as an employer. So now he's got like that going on.
I was just trying to get a
Right?
song out there.
Right?
It's just some cereal. I was just talking
Lots of
cereal.
texts coming in from other women who've had negative experiences with him.
Ugh,
I mean, it's like
no.
it's like changing course now. Isn't that insane?
So where does
But-
he fit into the Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
He's the one that found the
Wait,
shrimp.
he's the one that found the shrimp.
Okay.
Jesus,
okay,
what?
Okay. Sorry.
So anyway, I sent Lloyd a tweet to put up there because it also turned into a Twitter war. So apparently, Cinnamon Toast Crunch tweeted at him like that they were sorry after he realized.
This is what made it blow up was Cinnamon Toast Crunches, CTC as Katie called it. I was like, what the hell
Who
are you
doesn't know
talking
that?
about?
It's Cooper's favorite cereal. Or it used
Oh,
to
it's
be.
it
So
should be.
CTC. So Cinnamon Toast Crunch sent him a message actually and said, "Thank you, Jensen. We'd like to also send you some vouchers for this unpleasant experience."
No thanks.
And he said, "No,
No.
you just told me
No,
it
we're
wasn't
good.
shrimp tails."
Yeah, we're
So I
good.
mean, he's mad now. I mean,
Well,
he's
he should
like,
be
"No."
mad.
He's
I mean,
like,
I'm holding them in my hand.
Yes, but
I'm-
they're
I'm-
saying
I'm
no.
holding
But
them.
Now I
can-
found some string and some other things. It's like a what do you get at baseball games where they have little trinkets in the bottom?
Cracker
Jacks.
Jacks.
Cracker Jacks.
Wait,
Yeah.
you get those at baseball games in like 1970.
Oh, man,
Where-
I'm an old school. I'm an old soul.
Is that how long it's been?
And I stopped off the Oregon Trail.
And
went to a ball
come here,
game.
Cracker Back Jocks, if you don't mind there, huh, Lloyd?
Yeah, did you read today's
They
newspaper? I
still
was
make
not.
Cracker Jacks. Anyway, can you put that image up there because people are like, The tweets are hilarious about this. Like, people are just going crazy, especially because he's married to Topanga and stuff like that. But
That's the most crazy. That's the
because
craziest
Cinnamon
part.
Toast Crunch said that they've investigated it, and we said that yesterday. It was accumulation of sugar, not really shrimp tails.
Unreal.
So he had
Unreal.
he tweeted a picture of him taking the box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch to get tested, and the box is like in a seatbelt in the car, like riding with him. And then other people are tweeting about it, and it's all like shrimp related.
Whoever gave the sugar response to me is a fireable offense.
Oh yeah,
Like, I mean, that's
Cinnamon
Toast
Crunch.
but whoever thought in the boardroom, like, hey, let's just say that it's all sugar. Put the
know.
press release out there, and let's just see if this thing skates.
But
like,
the
hey,
weird-
Dan, you're out. You're done, bro.
sugar idea gone.
Idiot.
The weird thing is that the next bag, so they had like a double box that you get from like Costco or Sam's, and the next bag was taped up too. So like it had been tampered with, right? And like now people are saying because of his like shrimp affiliation, like was this like someone out to get him
Somebody, yep. I think so.
with the shrimp thing,
I'm going all
Or
conspiracy theory now.
they're like, did he do this on purpose? Is this like attention? Because like the shrimp
Well,
correlation
obviously
is
that
just
backfired
too
if
weird.
women are coming after him. He's a serial
I know,
offender.
y'all. Like who? I mean, I opened that up this morning and I was like, "Oh yes, what's next in the saga?" And then it was like multiple women have come forward, and I'm like, Jesus.
Gosh.
I mean, I don't know. I can't speak on it. Maybe he was a jerk to these women, but
Let's call Mintz. I got Mintz having
A serial take.
a serial take, and then I've got him with weird noises when he hangs up
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
I gotta cut all these up
Oh,
and
yeah,
put
For
them
those are
sure.
together.
good.
Yes. Don't mention anything about it. Let's just see if it plays out. All right, let's go up to I don't know where Mintz is. He may still be
back in New
He's
York.
back in New York. He's back in New York after a weekend in Colorado. See if you can get. Okay.
Oh, it's a good
one,
start.
one to start with. Morning, Mintzy. How we feeling?
Doing good, man.
buddy.
Just,
Yeah.
back from Denver. Had a great trip up to Colorado, and it kind of feels weird having the Thursday of the Sweet 16, but no games until Saturday. But we'll get there, and just back in New York, kind of already plotting my next big trip south here in a few weeks too.
Mintzy, the trip west looked just magical. Everything from the Cannonball to Abilene Christian hitting the money line for you. I mean, it looked like it was just a success from start to finish. Take us to Colorado, buddy. How was
All
it?
right, well, it was great, man. We flew out there on Wednesday. You're a big live music fan like I am.
Yes,
I went
sir.
to the Time Machine dance party at Cervantes
no
Wednesday night.
way.
Yeah, and then that.
No
they only
COVID in
allowed-
Colorado, huh, Mitzi?
No, they were real
Cold air killed it. That cold air.
Yes, indeed.
But they actually only allowed 50 people in there. And what they did was everybody had like tables that you could you kind of stay at your table. But so there were only 50 people in there, and they did 2 shows, I guess, to make more money. But man, I had a huge time at that. There were like 10 people on stage, some real fun. Was big George Michael Freedom encore at the end. Was fired up about that. Then had a big time at that, and then we went to Blackhawk. And for those of y'all that don't know about Blackhawk, it's it's kind of really built up the last 10 years, but it's only 35 miles west of Denver, down I-70, and so it's really between Denver and all the ski towns. So they get all the ski town people to go east and Denver to go west. They built this beautiful town, kind of into like an old oil mining town in the mountains, and man, that Ameristar property that Penn owns is super nice. That Barstool Sports Book is incredible. It was kind of an open communal vibe, which, Colorado people are a little nicer, Jordy. You can kind of cheer for different teams and not worry about whiskey bottles coming at you in Colorado.
Pass you a joint, dude.
So glad you said that.
It's not the SEC, huh?
It's definitely
Yeah,
not.
exactly. Exactly. And so I had a great time at Sportsbook. I hit Oral Roberts plus 950 money line against Ohio State, too, which was real fun. Which was fun. I mean,
steaming last weekend, bro.
Yeah, I was, man. I was getting them, and we had a great. They couldn't have treated us better. That the Penn relationship with Barstool is incredible because Penn stock was at like $4 one time last year, and now it's at 140. So they love Barstool.
They better.
And so they treat us well, and I got to stay in a suite and hit the steakhouse. I got treated like a king, and man, just Playboy Marty had a big time too. Obviously hated to see what happened to the Tigers because I thought LSU played incredible first half, and just kind of. I don't want to just blame the refs because LSU did fade a little bit down the stretch. I'm not that guy.
Mintzy, to me, I think the definition of a great team is if you can take their best player off of the team and they could still win a game like they competed in Monday night. Look, man, I tip my hat to Michigan. I mean, how good are they with Livers?
Yeah, no, they were incredible with him. And it felt like LSU's depth, the depth thing kind of got him a little bit in the second half, I thought. Because LSU's just loaded up front, but, they weren't the deepest team this year. But I thought it was a heck of a game. Cam Thomas had such a huge first half, but then he was off in the second half. And I thought that had a lot to do with it, too. But still, another good season for Will Wade, who's built so much, I feel like LSU's going through their most consistent basketball stretch right now. You look at LSU's had so many highs and lows and great players come through there, but, they're winning every year now. So I think you got to give Will a lot of credit for that. But then I had a great time and then flew back here Tuesday and back in the office. Had a super, super productive day yesterday, man. I'm really getting after it in there. And I feel like there's just so much momentum. And next big trip I've got planned, I'm going to go to LSU Ole Miss baseball, the Ole Miss spring game in late April. But then, hey, you're going to be posting about this. So Playboy Marty's 30th birthday. It's Friday, April 30th. We're coming to Baton Rouge for Arkansas LSU.
No way.
They're going to throw down for it.
Fun.
Yeah.
I think Playboy Marty needs to write the book. He's the one that needs it. He's got the great point of view of what's happening really with Mintz, Barstool, and the whole blow up. I mean, forget the camera guy angle. I mean, I think he needs to write the book
Break the fourth wall.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's just his point of view.
Are y'all going to come to the undisclosed location that day?
Yeah, I hope so. If y'all invite us to this, we'll come out there for
live.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even a question.
Yeah, Mintzy, open invite, buddy. Open invite here. Bring all the goodies too.
Yeah, don't come empty handed.
Right. I'd imagine that the suitcase was a little heavier on the way back.
Yeah, we had a big time, man. Colorado. It was certainly not a boring week. And man, I'll say this too. My vision for Barstool stuff, and you're Jordy. I've always had a lot of respect for your business visions as well. I think that we really understood and get along on. I just feel like, look, we've got so many North and Midwest guys, and a lot of people are asking, like, "Hey, are you mad you're not in Chicago with everybody?" No, like I want to expand in areas where we're not, as big. And
Untapped.
so, like, I'm not going to really. Yeah, but I mean, what can I do for Barstool in Chicago or New York or Boston? I'm trying to hit south in Colorado, the areas that are kind of like a little untapped. And so that's kind of my vision for it. So Denver, I'm really wanting to build up that Denver area, though. I've been going out there since I was 9 years old. I love Colorado. And also just kind of hit me the other day, too. I'm really strong in Louisiana and Mississippi, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was like, I need to focus more in Atlanta and Nashville and Birmingham. I mean, there's only 2 SEC guys at Barstool. I need to go after the whole Southeast. Like, I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mintzy, and you could feel the brand just exploding, bro. I mean, if you're doing nothing but just watching your social media numbers alone, forget the content. If you're just looking at the numbers, I mean, it is it's a volcano. I mean, it's exploding.
Yeah, it's wild. Sure.
So what is the thought on college baseball? Because, I mean, you talk about untapped territory, and you want to really endear yourself to Nashville, Athens, Oxford, and Baton Rouge. Go talk about college baseball, and they'll love you.
That's what we're trying to do. It's funny you mentioned that, but I've kind of been going real hard at that lately, and what's been cool on that front is Jared Carabas, who's got Starting Nine, which is, I believe, the number one baseball podcast in the world. He has taken a recent interest in college baseball. And so he's going to come down for Arkansas LSU, and he wants to check out the box and do a bunch of stuff with that. And so that'll be awesome. And we've been doing like clubhouses, talking a little bit of college baseball, and I'm super, super pumped about that. I'm going to try to make the SEC tournament too. I'm not sure if we're going to do short form videos or podcasts. I'm not sure on all that yet, but I think the big thing is we're coming out of COVID. We got to take the word to the people, and I'm willing to get out, live on the road. I think that's how we're really going to build this thing. And so, I'm going to get to see a lot of LSU Tiger baseball. Dang, 6 games, 2 weeks. So that's kind of the next big one I've got planned, and I want to make the SEC tournament in Birmingham, and then I'm also looking at Hogs for a Cause in New Orleans on June 4th, the big barbecue fundraiser for pediatric brain cancer. I want to do some stuff with that too.
Yeah, that is
we need to take it on the road.
That's
a
great one. That's a great one. The Hogs for the Cause. We were involved with that a couple of years back. You want to talk about an event now? That thing is great as far as the people and the reach on it. Mintzy, LSU's got a great quarterback competition brewing here in spring. We're going to talk to Kevin Faulk, their running back coach, here in about 15 minutes. Give me a little outlook on what's happening in Oxford. What about year 2 for Lane? What's the outlook?
Well, man, there's just, I mean, you know, I always say this about Ole Miss, you know. I mean, I hope spring's eternal right now because Kiffin, I can't recall. You know, it was like one of the most successful seasons for Ole Miss ever, and they went 5-5 last year with like all the Kiffin stuff.
Right.
You know, it's just so funny. I mean, it's hilarious. But I mean, you know, it was like the most electrifying 5-5 season in sports like ever. I mean, especially with everything that happened with me. I'm going to the spring game. What's been cool is Matt Corral, our quarterback, is Big Stooley, and he's a big fan of mine. So I'm looking forward to kind of doing stuff with him. I think that'll be fun. But the Ole Miss, it's hope springs eternal, and boy, they're already talking. Man, I'm real close with Paris Buchanan, who's in the athletic department. Jordy, they're already talking about the October 23rd LSU in Oxford. I mean, there's all kinds of rumors about that weekend right now. I mean, there's talk of a Barstool appearance and maybe a possible jersey could be getting retired that weekend too.
Hey, Mintzy, we're in.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with that LSU Ole Miss weekend already, and it being October 23rd, the weather should be great.
That's my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together.
It's all happening.
It's all coming together.
And I mean, I'm thinking in my head, too, like, I mean, that could be like the reunion weekend of all of them with Ole Miss and all Louisiana and Barstool all together in one place. So that one got me super pumped. But, you know, there's a lot of hope for the Rebels. I mean, the offense should be excellent, you know, as long as Elijah Moore is not going to be easy to replace. But the rest of the offense I feel great about. Defense can't get any worse. I mean, it was awful in the year, but I do like the coaching staff. And people are hyping up Ole Miss. Like, I mean, I'm not saying we're top 15 or anything like that, but I think it could be, you know, a top 25 8-win season. I think it's possible. You know, I think that's great. You know, win the rivalry game, all that. I don't want to like get ahead of ourselves and say Ole Miss is top 10. The defense got to improve. I mean, you're talking about a unit out of 130 teams that was like 125th last year. I mean, that defense is going to have to get from 125th to 50th if we're going to start talking that kind of improvement. But I still think, you know, what an exciting time to be an Ole Miss fan. I mean, you know, after 3 or 4 years of the NCAA hell, you know, the Kiffin thing just couldn't have worked out better. And obviously we'll see how long he stays. I have no idea on that front. But I certainly know that Barstool loves him, and so I hope he stays in Oxford at least a few more years.
Yes. I mean, where would he go at this point? I mean, he's got everything he wants.
No,
right?
I mean, it has to be just a mega job, you know, because, I mean, he wouldn't go to Auburn for it. I mean, you know, it has to be a really big one. I mean, I don't know. So I feel like you may say a little bit the Arch Manning thing is going to be interesting. You know,
it will be. It will be.
They're keeping there, and, man, I've got people all over that trying to figure out stuff. They're not giving out stuff on that.
No, we're doing the same. I mean, we're tapping into every relationship we've got down in New Orleans just to get an idea of what he's thinking. And I mean, it's very tight-lipped, and I think that at this point it's kind of wide open. You know, I mean, there's probably there's probably now internally there's probably some stuff that people don't realize in the public, but I think from outside looking in, this is, you know, it's very much a open race right now. Mintzy, you hit a hot streak in the NFL last season that was fantastic, and you were handing out the winners each week. What do you think about the Saints with Jameis Winston as their starting quarterback? Do you think that they're a player next year?
Yeah, I do. And look, I got to say this: my analysis on Jameis is a little clouded. In 2013, when he won the Heisman as a redshirt freshman, I hit Florida State 33-1 to win the title that year. That was one of the best. That was one of the best I've ever had. That was one of the best I've ever hit. And so, like, a lot of people have loved crapping on Jameis for years, but I always had a soft spot for him because. But I really believe. Look, I mean, my thing on this, and I saw you like this tweet. I saw you liked it. I mean, I think maybe my journey's been like this too, but I believe in second chances in life. Mm-hmm. And I think Jameis is only 27 years old. He's been in the limelight for so long. He got LASIK surgery. He's married. He's gotten healthier. He got to learn from Drew Brees and Sean Payton for a year. And I believe in Sean Payton. And, man, look, Jordy, you and I said it a lot. We talked about Drew's last couple of years. I mean, love Drew. I mean, utmost respect for everything he did. But, I mean, the Saints are still 8-1 without him the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. I mean, the skill set has faded a lot. And Jameis getting to learn from Drew, and I think Jameis will be able to push the ball down the field. The big thing, you know, hopefully the LASIK surgery helps him the turnovers got to come down. But if he turns the ball over less, I mean, I think the Saints will be really good with him. I mean, they lost a lot to the salary cap, but they didn't lose any of their core. They kept their core together. And so, I I feel a lot better about it than most, and I think it's going to be a fun journey to follow.
Mintzy, who you like this weekend? Anybody? Any tips for the players out there going into a Sweet 16 and Elite 8 weekend?
I got a couple that stood out to me. Oral Roberts has been the story of the tournament, and I get all that, and I'm happy for them. But that second round game, Florida sucks right now.
Mm-hmm.
Florida was not good down the stretch, and I think Oral Roberts is getting more credit than they deserve for that. I kind of think Arkansas ends this thing with the way they're playing. Arkansas's favored by 11. That's a lot, but to me, that's Vegas putting that line out high to discourage action on them. So I like Arkansas. The other one that stood out to me, man, I get that this power rankings and stuff, but how can you not like Syracuse plus 6 against Houston? Mm-hmm. I just don't even see how, watching that Houston team, I saw them play 4 times down the stretch, and, man, they struggle to score against anybody that plays defense. And if you can't shoot against that Syracuse 2-3 zone, man, that's a problem. You got to shoot that, you got to be able to shoot away that zone. And I really worry about Houston scoring. And I think Syracuse is so good in the tournament, especially the way Buddy Bam's hit threes. And I think Syracuse plus 6 and money line. I wouldn't be surprised to see Syracuse make another deep run here back in the Elite 8. Those are 2 of the ones that kind of stood out. I don't know about Loyola Chicago, Oregon State. I kind of think Baylor sticks it out against Nova. I kind of like Baylor in that one.
Yeah, Buddy Boeheim. I mean, he's shooting nearly 60% in the tournament. I don't know how you shoot any better.
No,
what about UCLA, Alabama?
That one's really interesting. So UCLA, Mick Cronin is the old Cincinnati coach, and UCLA is super rugged, it's taking on its personality. Who knew about the Pac-12 basketball?
They're dominating.
4 of the Sweet 16, and it's been funny too because everybody said the Big 10 and Big 12 were the best, and they have Michigan and Baylor left. I mean, they just totally got wiped out. But so I'd lean the Bama thing this year is interesting, and y'all obviously saw a lot of them. Man, they don't do this all the time, but when they start raining threes like they did in Baton Rouge,
Golden
and
State.
they did it against Maryland too. I mean, I certainly can't stand their school, but it's a heck of a product they got out there with 8 Oaks when they get hot. I think Bama should win, but I'm not totally sure.
I'm still going with UCLA.
Ooh.
I'm sticking with UCLA.
I hope you're right.
Me too.
Me too.
Nobody wants to see Bama win both football and basketball. Nobody.
You think they're unbearable right now as a fan
God.
base? Which they are. I mean, they're
I know, I was
unbearable.
about to say, what?
But, I mean, the cherry on top that they get to a Final Four or win a natty in basketball, I'm out. I mean, like,
yeah.
forget it, bro.
I think Florida did it. Noah Abe, Tebow, and then they had the Noah Horford team. But no, I don't. Nobody wants to see that. I agree.
Mintzy, keep it up, bro. Proud of you. Can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. And
man, yeah. Then the Marty's 30th birthday falling on that Friday in Baton Rouge.
Oh, it's
he's so excited about it. I mean, that's gonna be full circle.
We're
So
starting
see
at
y'all in a
the
couple
UDL.
weeks.
Tell
man, can't wait.
tell Playboy hello and take care.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Okay, all right. Weird on the way out.
Here with our snacks.
Okay, Tommy, come on in. Daily, we're brought to you by Relief Telemed. Nice work on the get up there. Relief Telemed is the best way, the only way to get your health care in 2021 in your home on site. Relief is changing how health care is delivered. This is our friend Vishal Vasanji, a great friend of ours. No more doctor's offices, no more waiting rooms, health care in the comfort of your own home. The process is simple. All you got to do is download the app, Relief Health, from Apple or Google app stores. You can get connected to a local doctor, community, or just get orders to a test directly. The nurse will come out for your testing and any evaluation. Get results and a treatment plan for your app. Relief has the vaccine Moderna in right now. Relief can come on site for any employer administrator to their employees. That's Relief Telemed. Download the app, Relief Health, today inside your Apple or Google stores, and they will get to you. That's them. That is them. That's my guy. As Relief Telemed, Relief Health will take care of you. We'll talk to Kevin Faulk in 10 minutes right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Go Chevrolet is under new management, but it's the same old familiar names that you know here from the area. Lee Carney and Nick Richard are up and running in LaPlace, Louisiana, and they want you to stop in today. But if you can't, they'll make it easy for you. They'll come to you. Log online to GoChevrolet.com. That's GEAUX
GoChevrolet.com. Go Chevrolet is conveniently located on Airline Highway in La Place, Louisiana. Shop all the inventory, whether it's new or pre-owned, at GoChevrolet.com. That's GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Dr. James Johnson and Dr. Chad Spillers of Johnson and Spillers Dentistry, with 2 locations, one in Gonzales and one in Baton Rouge between Segan Lane and Bluebonnet, offer everything from ceramic crowns to pediatric dentistry, dental cleanings, Botox, extractions. They're online at johnsonspillers.com. Located in Gonzales and in Baton Rouge, seeing both new patients and existing patients, log online to johnsonspillers.com.
If you missed the show, you can always check out our podcast, brought to you by RMB Builders, on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you can listen to podcasts.
Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, your office, your family can be protected 24/7 with active pure technology. This NASA-based science has proven 99.9% reduction of airborne SARS-2 and COVID-19 virus in just 3 minutes. Log on now to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta.
Have a late night and can't make it for the Jordy Culotta Show at 7 a.m.? No worries. Catch us on demand on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
Welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show, presented by Go Chevrolet. Every single day.
What
Shout
a
out
beat.
to our friend and longtime supporter, wherever we've been, always supported what we've been doing, and we are really grateful for that. Not only his being out there and listening to us, but supporting our product. He was wearing our gear when he came in here this morning to drop off a truckload of snacks
Tom Granny.
to the Jordy Culotta Show.
His left knee
We
is the
will
star
not
of the
be going
show right
hungry.
now. He's got one little silhouette.
look, you can
it's
see.
great. Yeah.
You can see it piled up over here. I mean, that's just part of it.
Yeah, that's right. Tom Granning, who stopped by, as he is always a loyal supporter. It's good to see him, and we appreciate what you do very much for our show and everybody who is out there. So thank you very much. We're going to talk to Kevin Faulk coming up here in a couple of minutes, as we will get an outlook on the LSU running backs room. We'll also talk to him about some of the competition watching here in spring, as the Tigers got some competition at a bunch of spots. And we told you early on to start off with, just a couple of minutes before we get to Faulk. We were talking about the possibility of the name change to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Mercedes-Benz has had that title since 2011.
I don't like it. I want it to stay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you knew that they were leaving when they did the Atlanta deal, and they are they're the title sponsor of Atlanta's dome, as it's the Mercedes-Benz. What is it? The Georgia Dome, Mercedes-Benz
50-yard line.
Dome. In Atlanta, and that deal was actually struck for 27 years.
It's a long-term commitment.
So you knew
They got married.
You knew that.
Why 27?
I don't know.
Why such an
That's the way
odd
the
number?
money works,
I don't
I'm
know.
sure. I don't know.
I don't know how.
I'm just surprised we didn't get any CTC from our boy Tom. You brought some Cinnamon Toast
I
Crunch.
love that you've learned that CTC,
I'm all
and now
in.
you're all in with it.
I'm a crunch head.
So we saw that Mercedes-Benz, that contract expires in July, and it looks like Caesars Entertainment is going to take that over. On the field, the New Orleans Saints are going to look very different, obviously, than what they looked like the last time you saw them. The obvious one being Drew Brees' retirement, but they have also released and traded more than $110 million from their salary cap over the last 3 weeks. So it is going to look very different on the field than what it did last year, whether it was Trey Hendrickson moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals, or like a guy like Drew Brees retiring in the offseason. Thomas Morstead was released after his long-time stint in relationship with the New Orleans Saints. So where do they go from here? And I was reading a little bit of Mike Triplett's latest over at ESPN.com, and we talked to Triplett last week on some of the insights on Drew Brees and where the Saints go now. And he kind of put together a pecking order of needs of where New Orleans goes now in free agency, now that they have kind of an idea of what it's going to look like with the holes and key positions left open now that they have made their moves. The position that jumped out to me was cornerback, because I think that New Orleans faces similar scenarios at two top positions. And I think they face the same scenario at cornerback as they do at wide receiver, right? Where you've got a headline guy, you've got Marcus Lattimore, and you've got Michael Thomas, respectively, at both positions. Lattimore, the cornerback, the defensive back, and Thomas, the stellar wide receiver. But then after that, you got some names, but you don't have a lot of proof, right? I mean, like Traquan Smith feels like he should be the guy at wide receiver, and this is a contract year for Traquan, as the guy that could step up. But doesn't it feel like Marquez Callaway is probably going to be that next win up just because of what you saw from him last season? I mean,
he showed the flashes last year.
Put your mic on.
That should be my job. He showed the flashes last year where he kind of was a little bit surprising almost, but you saw what he did at Tennessee, and you're like, he's got the build and the athletic abilities. Like if he gets in the right system,
exactly. That's what kind of gives me the confidence is that I mean he was an undrafted free agent or a late round pick last year by New Orleans, and he came in and made an impact. We've seen that story time and time again, right? With the Saints and most notably on offense with a guy like a wide receiver because of Sean Payton's ability just to craft and create, just scheme and strategy to make those guys open. But I agree with Lloyd. I mean, he looks like a prospect. I mean, all of his intangibles seem to check a lot of the boxes in what you're looking for at wide receiver. Who's going to be the number 2 guy at wideout? Do they make a move in free agency? We saw them release Emmanuel Sanders, who was one of their big signees last season. But Callaway, Jawan Johnson made a little small impact last year. But you would hope and think it would be a guy like Traquan Smith. Look, Deontay Harris, I thought, gave you some really good snaps at wide receiver last year. I mean, he's a special teamer, a guy that's most directly a punt returner, but he's got the ability to create after the catch. And then I think the same scenario exists at cornerback, where you've got a guy like Lattimore, Marcus Lattimore, who's in a contract season, and you released your number 2 starter in Janoris Jenkins. After that, you got some names that you could possibly lean on, but nobody that's really been proven. There are some rumors that the Saints are interested in bringing in Richard Sherman, who played with San Francisco his last time out. But
how many years has he been playing?
Sherman's been in the league at least double digit by this now.
Okay.
I mean, he spent 7 with Seattle, 6 or 7 with Seattle, in the last 3, I believe, he's been in San Francisco. If it's not his 10th, he's knocking on the door of 10 for sure. I mean, his better football, the best days of his football are definitely behind him. But he's a good, smart player. And in the offseason, the Saints did add a former coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Chris Richard is now the secondaries coach for New Orleans, who spent some time with Richard Sherman in Seattle. So there's a familiarity.
And Sean Payton and Richard Sherman have had a little back and forth on Twitter before, so there's a mutual respect there.
And that reason
like
is because of the
back and
respect.
forth?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that that's the type of player that Payton likes, and I think that's the type of coach that Sherman likes to play for. I mean, a little brash, a little arrogant, a little cocky, but at the end of the day, a dog. I mean, he's very good. And then I would go to linebacker, cornerback, wide receiver. The top concern, let me just say this, for Triplett is quarterback for New Orleans, and he brings up possibly bringing in Chase Daniel. I mean,
what a guy!
Why not? Still collecting.
Right, still has an apartment here.
Drinking out of an umbrella. You got umbrellas in the drink. Yes, absolutely, man. Smoking cigars.
Y'all need me again?
Yeah. What do you need?
Y'all got that pencil?
I got $12 million a year. Yeah. Right. 30 snaps over under, preferably the under.
Let Taysom take that workload.
Why
You
not?
go play
Yeah.
tight end. I'll be back up.
But you got Jameis, you got Taysom at quarterback. What happens there is yet to be seen. Linebacker, the next one. A linebacker is going to be a area of concern. I mean, look, you got Demario Davis, and he's a stud. He's one of the faces of the franchise. But after that, I mean, they released Quan Alexander. They released Alex Anzalone. They've got some guys within the hopper, guys like Caden Ellis and Chase Hansen, Andrew Dowell, who they believe in and want to bring along. But this would be the fast track if you brought them in here, currently and ask, or you just ask them right now to be a everyday starter and player. So what do they do at linebacker? Do they make a move, or do they maybe bring Quan back after this Achilles stuff? Because Quan is not going to get the demand, or he's not going to be able to demand the number that he previously wanted before the injury going into a contract season. So what is his value now coming off of an Achilles injury?
Is his second or third major injury. He's had
on
ACL.
the backside of a knee, and that's kind of been his issue.
Yeah.
I mean, even at LSU, I mean, he was. I'll never forget. I mean, that Florida game that Kevin Minter had 20 tackles that day in the swamp with Beckham, Landry, Jeremy Hill, Mettenberger, and that crew. I mean, Quan Alexander had a scoop fumble, and he was playing his ass off in the first half, and he broke his ankle that day. And he could never really get consistent. He would always show flashes, and when he was in there for longer periods of time, he stood out. But he couldn't stay on the field with consistency. All right, let's call All Eyez on 3. One of my favorite, dude. Kevin Faulk coming up. Yeah, you can just go ahead and hit that, and that way when he picks up, we can come in.
Hello.
All Eyez on 3.
What's up, babe?
How we feeling?
I'm good.
We are live. It's good to talk to you. I appreciate you squeezing us in for a couple of minutes. I know that you're very busy. Have you had a chance to talk to Tom Brady about the latest in his successful Super Bowl run?
Yeah, very briefly.
Kevin, what is it about him, man? I know that you and I have talked about him, and everybody asks you about him. But I mean, the fact that he played so well down the stretch at 40 years old. How many more of these does he have?
It's like we always talk about when somebody asks about how long he has. He's been preparing for this for a long time, and it's showing the preparation, and he's still going. Still looks like he can go a couple of more years. And the question you asked earlier about him, it's just the one thing I texted him was, "You are a great leader of men."
Mm-hmm. Was that his offense or Bruce Arians' offense?
I think Bruce Arians let everyone know that he tried to. Do his thing at the beginning, but it's just, let Tom do what he does.
Yes,
let him
indeed.
understand what he understands on the field.
How about your group? Getting a chance to see them now on the field with spring drills happening. There's a lot of competition, it seems like, all over the offensive spring field for LSU football. How about the running backs room? How do you feel about your group going into these 15 practices?
I feel real good about them. Couple of guys nicked and banged up a little bit, but that comes with, the sport and everything. Especially with last year, we had some guys that had to have a surgery a little bit, and they're limited a little bit. But you know what those guys can do. You really want to get those guys back in the groove and understand what we're trying to do as an offense, because last year wasn't acceptable.
Derek Davis Jr. is an incoming freshman. Earlier this week, Coach O said that he was getting some reps at running back. Is that real, or is that just a body until your guys get here in the fall?
It was a tryout for him as far as to see if he wanted to go back there. He was a pretty good running back in high school, and when the numbers went down, we was like, "Well, let's ask him, see if he's gonna give it a try." He gave it a try. We think he's gonna go back to safety though.
Yeah. What's it been like working alongside the new guys on the offensive room? Mangus and Peets. Jake Peets comes in as the offensive coordinator. Mangus comes back now as the passing game coordinator. When he was alongside Joe Brady that year, he held that same position. What's it like, you guys all working collectively together?
It's been going great. Jake has been really pushing us as an offensive staff, to do different things. And, Coach O was trying to he had those guys because he wanted to try to get that fire back from the offense in 2019. And those guys are bringing a little bit of that back and some of their own as well.
Is that what offense now is in college football, Kev? I mean, you've seen so many great offenses up close, whether you were in college or as a pro, but now offense seems like basketball on grass in football. Is that the feeling around it from coaching it and recruiting it?
We're 2 years removed from going 15-0. You're going to look for that.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And
I guess you're right.
To answer your question, it's what a team is. If that's what your team is, that's what you recruit. That's the way direction you're gonna go. But if you're a ground and pound them team, that's what you're gonna be.
Yeah. Kevontre Bradford saw some time late in the year, Coach, and he had some burst to him when he touched the ball. What's it been like in developing him since his freshman season, and what's the expectation for the sophomore?
Expectations are very big for him coming into his sophomore year. He's another one of those guys that's kind of been banged up. He's been dealing with a hamstring, so we've been monitoring that a whole lot. But you can see, like you said, you can see the explosion in him, the willing to hit the hole and get outside and just make some things happen for us.
I love the Corey Kiner recruiting story about when you went into his living room and then you left and he Googled you and found out that you were one of the best New England Patriots of all time and maybe the best LSU football running back of all time. And then that kind of translated to Orgeron talking about how dominant of a recruiter you have been in just early on in the job. You were able to get Corey Kiner, who was the best player in Ohio, and then you go in and you steal Armani Goodwin late in the process out of Alabama and right under Auburn's nose. What has it been like, that part of the job in recruiting? How have you embraced it? And it seems like you love it.
It's very time consuming. But I love building relationships with young men. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I wanted to get into coaching, was because I was there before. I understand some things that you're trying to do and some things that you're trying to accomplish. And the one thing is, I played the position for a very long time, and that helps me a whole lot as well.
So you don't tell the stories, which I love, right? Because I love that you kind of set them up where they have to Google you after. Do you bring the Super Bowl rings into the house? Do you bring them in on the visit, or you just kind of let it? You don't even let it be known.
I really don't let it be known. If you know me, you know me. I'm not one to tell you unless you're asking. Yeah. I'm not gonna just outright tell you, "Hey, look, I've done this, I've done that, I played in this." No, that's not me. Eventually, as the conversations keep going and keep going forward, you'll figure out you'll figure it out.
All Eyez on 3. Google that with Kevin Faulk.
Google.
Is that the best? National TV,
yeah.
National TV. The ESPN cameras coming back to Tiger Stadium, going back on Kevin Faulk's All Eyez on 3 is still one of my most favorite moments growing up. Tell me about the building. Coach Orgeron last year, 5-5, ate him up. I can't imagine what that building was like every day, but it seems like you guys are trending back towards a championship level program. What was last year like, and getting to where you want to be coming up this season?
It's kind of like I was telling one of my friends, we've all been fights before, and we've all got our butt whipped sometimes. Mm-hmm. And when you get in your butt whipped, all you do is just hold your hands up and try not to get hit too solidly. And I think that's what last year was for a little while. And then, once we got the experience with some of the young guys that were playing, they really got a hold of what was going on, and I think that really turned us around as a program. Going forward to this year, I think the number one thing is just being focused, being more focused at what we're doing as a team.
Your your quarterback room is as healthy as it seemingly has ever been, or since the days of Jamarcus and Ryan Perilou and Matt Flynn duking it out for that position. What do you think about the guys that are going after the starting spot? And it seems like it's a very healthy competition.
They all are very worthy of it. And like you said, it's a healthy competition. Guys are competing. Guys are playing. Guys are communicating with each other, even though they're competing for the same job. And that's what you want to see from those guys.
Kev, it's always great to catch up with you. A man that has won a college national championship inside of the Superdome, a Super Bowl championship inside of the Superdome, and a high school state championship within the Superdome in New Orleans, and probably one of the best running backs, one of the best running backs that this state has ever produced, and now he's coaching the running backs position for LSU. It all just makes a lot of sense, man. Thank you for the time this morning. We'll be seeing you soon.
I appreciate you. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Kevin Faulk, All Eyez on 3. The
So
best.
cool.
The best. Tom? The best? The best. I mean, he was suspended the Houston game his senior year because he showed up late to a meeting.
When was that? Like what?
1998.
Okay.
1998 was his. They were preseason number 6 going into that year, and they just fell apart. It was a terrible year, but all they had was Kevin Faulk, and he was suspended for the first half against Houston, and Houston was up 33-35-3. He came back. He came out in the second half and rushed for 260 yards, brought back a punt. He brought back a punt, and he caught a pass for a touchdown. He did everything. He did everything.
And fresh legs.
It was one of the most incredible highlights watching live. I'll also remember watching him at Notre Dame standing in a packed South Bend Stadium versus Notre Dame on NBC, waiting to catch a punt, telling the crowd to stand up as the punt is in the air. He's on the road against Notre Dame. He's on the road, catches the punt, makes one man miss, hits the Jets, the sideline. Next thing you know, that game goes towards the end. I think the last possession, Abram Booty had a chance to win that game in regulation. It was one of the great college football games, but Faulk had so many highlights. I mean, the cover of Sports Illustrated where he's carrying the Florida defender the night that LSU took down number 1, or his first game versus Texas A&M, his true freshman season. Now, remember, man, if you've listened to us before, you understand this. Kevin Faulk, in my opinion, is the one action. His recruitment is, you could go back to that and pinpoint that exact moment when he committed to LSU over everybody in the country in 1995 when he was coming out. And it was, at the time, it was Michigan was the heavyweight in the sport. Notre Dame was the heavyweight in the sport. Florida and Florida State were the heavyweights in the sport. They were all camped out at Karen Crow High School at that time to get Faulk. And Jerry DiNardo, when he got the job, the first thing he did, credit Jerry DiNardo for doing this, he still tells his story. The first thing he did after LSU introduced him, he got into the car and drove down to Karen Crow and told Kevin Faulk, this is how much you mean to me and LSU. You're the first order of business that I came and see, that I came to.
That's cool.
And mind you, at this time, LSU is a joke. LSU is the butt of college football jokes, just this sleeping giant down in Louisiana that nobody can figure out. All of their players go to the University of Miami, to Florida State, to Alabama, to Michigan, to Notre Dame. All these players from Louisiana are leaving. If somebody could just go build a fence around that state, you never know what LSU could be. I mean, that was kind of the story on them. And Kevin Faulk was gone. He was going to Notre Dame. He was going to Michigan. And for whatever reason, he decided to come to LSU. And that moment, I think, really brought a lot of clarity to in-state guys. I've heard Ryan Clark tell this story. I've heard guys that are coming out around that time tell the story of, if Kevin Faulk thinks it's cool to go to LSU, maybe I need to consider going to LSU. And while Nick Saban didn't coach or recruit Kevin Faulk, I think Saban came in with the idea saying that Kevin Faulk will never even contemplate leaving LSU or Louisiana because we're going to build a fence so high around this state, nobody's going to be able to get in. And Faulk, in my opinion, made it cool at the time to come to LSU when it really wasn't cool at all. Wasn't cool at all to come to LSU. And just 2 years later, he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated when LSU takes down number 1. Don't think that that's a coincidence.
That's amazing.
I mean, that guy really did turn the tide, begin to turn the tide. I've met with TV executives over the last couple of weeks, over the last couple of months, and they told me indirectly and directly, Jordy, we're really we're trying to get where you're at. We're wanting to be able to tap into a digital platform by just simply, being able to go sit down in a room and just hit live. He said, but we're turning a 300-foot tanker. Was the guy, the television? He gave me a kind of a painted a picture. He said, we're trying to turn this thing around, and it's 300 feet. That's what LSU football was trying to do at that time. I mean, they were headed such in the wrong direction. They were trying to turn this thing and just looking for one piece of momentum, one thread within the river that would help turn this thing around, and Kevin Faulk was it.
So you're the Kevin Faulk of sports talk now.
That would be an
that's where the
incredible
story is
compliment.
going. It
That would be an incredible compliment.
it's true.
I mean, Booger and Kevin Faulk. Booger was in that part. You know, Booger McFarland was a part of that too, where Boog, he could have gone anywhere. Both of those guys, but more Faulk. I mean, Faulk was recognized. He was like the #1 recruit in the country.
Well, and it's a position at that time. Like running back was the deal.
And he actually played quarterback his senior year at Karen Crow because they didn't and they just ran the triple option.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he ran for like 400 yards in the state championship game.
J.M. James said Faulk wore a long sleeve Florida shirt as he signed with LSU.
Just such look. If you could see under his, and he always wore the Superman shirt in his under his
pads.
No way, really?
Pads. He always wore the Superman shirt under his pads.
The things I learned.
He was. I'm telling you. Not only was he was the coolest too, man. I mean, I'll never forget. A friend of mine, Chris Allen, who helped us with the lights. Shout out to the Grizz. He and I were sitting in a traffic jam waiting to get into the LSU Georgia game, where LSU and Georgia, that Georgia game where Quincy Carter came in as a quarterback, and who was the two-way player? Champ Bailey. Champ Bailey killed LSU that night. But we were in a traffic jam on Stanford waiting to get into the game, and some student was selling T-shirts, Faulk 'em up. had the pocket tee and had Faulk 'em up on the front of it, and had Kevin Faulk with one of his celebratory poses on the back, and it said Faulk 'em up. And I'm telling you, I kept that T-shirt.
You still have it?
I don't still have it, but I had it like after Jordan was born. I mean, I've had it for 20 years.
Yeah.
But it just got to a point where it was just,
tattered.
You couldn't, it was almost turned into a dish rag.
That would have been great for our wall.
It would have been. But Kevin Faulk, I could go on for days. I'm telling you, I could go on for days in just what he meant to LSU. And now to have him coaching the running backs at LSU, and Corey Kiner told us the story, and then we had Kevin Faulk on our show a couple of days later to kind of reiterate his point of view on the story, where Corey Kiner, who is the best running back and the best player out of the state of Ohio that LSU got in last year's recruiting class, met Kevin Faulk on an in-home visit where Faulk comes in-home, and I believe at the time he was with Steve Insminger, who was the offensive coordinator, and they come sit in, and Faulk's just kind of telling him about his experience in football, right? I mean, Tom Brady said at Kevin Faulk's jersey retirement for the New England Patriots, Faulk's jersey hangs in the rafters at Foxborough. Tom Brady was one of the speakers that day and said in that moment that Kevin Faulk is his most favorite teammate of all time. I mean,
wow.
Think of that. Think of that testimony. Think of that endorsement from the football's best player of all time ever, and Brady saying that this guy Kevin Faulk is his favorite teammate of all time that he's ever played with. And Faulk, as he just told us, he's not going to tell you that. He's not even going to come off and really make you feel that once you meet him. But all you got to do, like Katie did while she's sitting here talking, while he's talking, she just Googles him, and you're like, oh shit!
Yeah, you really are.
I mean, like, look at this guy. I mean, he's done everything.
He's got 2 Wikipedia pages.
Hey, his football resume has got to be.
It's uncanny.
It's got to be the best our state can. I mean, the state of Louisiana, a football resume. Ed Reed's probably got a great one. I mean, he's a pro football he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's maybe the best safety to ever come. He got 2 Super Bowl rings. He won a national championship at Miami. But he didn't stay here. Right. But I'm just talking about Louisiana natives. Guys that Louisiana has produced, their football resume. Ed Reed's is probably up. Kevin Faulk's has got to be 2 or 3. I mean, he played for 4 Super Bowls and won 3 with New England. He scored a 2-point conversion in the first one in 2001, and I believe he scored again in the Houston win where Vinatieri kicked the game winner versus Carolina.
And just his demeanor when he walks into a room, like even if you don't know who he is or what he's done, you have to have he has a presence about him where he's laid back, but it's always it might be like he knows something you don't, and it's about him. Like he has that feel to him where you're like, what's up with this guy? Like what's he hiding a little bit, because he's just so cool and relaxed that he obviously has something on the resume.
Yeah, no, he is. Yeah,
he is
the coolest. I mean,
Have you met him, Lloyd?
Yeah, we've met at Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame stuff.
And he's got that handshake where you're like, oh, he'll drop you. You're like, oh my God. Oh my, I mean, his hands are like just Jarvis Landry just crack you right there. Wes Shin says Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, 2 Super Bowl titles. I mean, he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Won an SEC title at Tennessee, didn't win a national championship. It's right there. It's right there. You know, I mean, I don't think that we can hold Faulk's for what they did not accomplish in college. Now, that team his senior season should have been a lot better. But I mean, you know, you could point at a lot of things on why they weren't. But you can't hold Faulk's, you know, the not, you know, the, I don't know how to say it, the unsuccessful college run as far as the championships and what they accomplished, because like I told you, they were turning a 300-foot tanker, and he was the captain of that. He was the one that really took the wheel and said, let me start turning this thing. And he was the one that grabbed the wheel and started to turn it. And by the time he left, you know, they were saying, well, go get Nick Saban and bring him in here. And then, you know, the rest is history. You're still riding the wave. You're still riding the wave today of what Kevin Faulk and Nick Saban really started for LSU football. And now he's coaching the running backs for the program.
That's so cool.
I don't think that it could have I don't think it could work out any better. J.M. James says, come on, Jordy, Terry Bradshaw. I mean, I wasn't thinking like that far back, but I guess Bradshaw would be, I mean, 6. You got 6 champions? 4? 4, I think. 4? Did they do anything at Louisiana Tech? No. But yes,
I was
Bradshaw.
going to say Tyrann Mathieu, Louisiana guy, Super Bowl winner.
Probably. Played in a natty.
Played in a natty.
Won an SEC, was a Heisman finalist. Probably so.
Yep.
Probably so, yeah. Who has a better football resume than Kevin Faulk? I challenge you, if you're in the listening audience, to jump inside of the bunker. If you're in Facebook watching,
I'll Google it.
Yeah, I mean, just from Louisiana, I would say Ed Reed, Peyton Manning, and Tyrann Mathieu all make sense. But I think that Kevin Faulk's in that discussion. I don't think they're any better than what Faulk. I mean, they're just kind of they're all kind of in a class of their own. Terry Bradshaw, sorry. Good stuff from Kevin Faulk today. Remember, every day here on the Jordy Culotta Show, we are brought to you by Falaya Real Estate. We tell you all the time about what our friend Barrett Blondo has going on over at Falaya Real Estate, and my man is really doing, he's changing it up. If you want to sell your house by yourself, you can save thousands. If you're a do-it-yourselfer and you want to sell your house, then you've got to learn about Falaya. Online, falaya.com. You can download their app today. Whether you're at the Google App Store, the Apple App Store, if you like doing things yourself, if you want to save some cash, then you need to check out Falaya Real Estate. It's do-it-yourself, selling your house. For more information, visit falaya.com or there's my man, my guy, or online at falaya.com. Do things if you like doing things yourself. If you want to save some cash, then you got to check out Falaya Real Estate. It's do-it-yourself, selling your house. For more information, falaya.com, or download the app at the Google Play or Apple Store today as falaya.com. All right, we'll come back and close it out. Shea Dixon just walked in. I want to get Shea in here and talk to him a little bit about his thoughts on spring football, some thoughts on Kevin Faulk, some thoughts on recruiting. So we'll close out the Jordy Culotta Show when we come back.
How confident do you feel about your streaming service? Do you know if you have the right gear or not? Is Facebook and YouTube consistently letting you down? I now present to you WSN Live. WSN can help your church, your team, your community bring everyone together for one streaming service where there's no more equipment guessing, broadcasts that your audience will absolutely love, and a support team that you will have around the clock. WSN Live. Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, your office, your family can be protected 24/7 with active pure technology. This NASA-based science has proven 99.9% reduction of airborne SARS-2 and COVID-19 virus in just 3 minutes. Log on now to valera.com/Jordy Culotta.
Have a late night and can't make it for the Jordy Culotta Show at 7 a.m.? No worries. Catch us on demand on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Go Chevrolet. Stop in and see Nick Richard and Lee Carney down in Laplace, Louisiana. Online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Shea Dixon covers recruiting. He's the best in the business at it. He does it for 247 as recruiting right now, looking towards the class of 2022. Watch yourself for you.
Yeah, I got it.
Savvy vet.
Better football resume for a Louisiana native. We said Kevin Faulk has the best. Some people were coming in and gave us Tyrann Mathieu. We heard Peyton Manning, and Ed Reed is another one that we thought of. But as far as accomplishments from somebody in this state, from this state, Kevin Faulk's got to be.
Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw was in there.
4 Super Bowls.
Yep.
Kevin Faulk's way up there.
Way up there. How much do you hear back from recruits? Because I think the Corey Kiner story is fantastic. Kiner told it to us on a radio show, then Faulk kind of backed it up a couple of weeks later when he kind of laid the groundwork for Kiner on who he was, kind of gave him enough interest where Kiner wanted to Google him when he left. And then he Googles Faulk and finds out that he's like Tom Brady's most favorite teammate of all time and that he had won all these these Super Bowl championships. Have you heard from recruits on the trail, like, not only is Kevin Faulk a great recruiter, but he was a dog when he was a player?
Yeah, right. What about Bill Belichick's favorite player is what Belichick has said.
Yes.
That he's the best player he's ever coached. He'd be up there. I was trying to think. It wasn't Randall Gay. Maybe it was. Someone has won
Randall
a high
Gay.
school state
Randall
championship, a national championship at LSU, and a Super Bowl.
No, it's Faulk. They credit his national championship with the 2019 LSU
And
win.
Karen Crow won?
And they say that they credit it all in the Superdome because he
Right.
won the Patriots 01 Super Bowl in the Dome, the 19 national championship in the Dome, and his senior year in high school when they won the state championship at Karen Crow.
Yeah, okay, so that'd be one. I thought there might be one more. I know Blue Gay was in that mix too.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one. Man, you talk about his career.
Corey Webster.
Corey Webster?
Oh, Clyde.
High
school state championship, LSU national championship. Made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Clyde's definitely.
That's a good one.
Tyrann Mathieu.
How
is recruiting going right now? Where is recruiting? I mean, I'm watching all these 7-on-7 videos that are popping every weekend. I was talking to Rohan the other day and what they've got going on at F3 as far as 7-on-7 goes. I mean, how much is that? Is that recruiting? How much of recruiting is going on there?
It's recruiting in the sense that college coaches can see those videos and, they'll get, whether it's someone videoing the whole thing or watching clips like we do on Twitter, any piece of an eval that you can get. Because remember, we've gone now over a year since they've seen a kid face-to-face, meaning no kids on campus, but also not ever going to a high school game, not ever going to a high school practice. So until, June 1, I think, is when they're going to open things back up. The NCAA will, meaning the dead period will be done and the floodgates are going to open. I mean,
Yes.
LSU, Bama, Georgia, they're all lining up big visit weekends. We'll see if they have camps. So right now it's sort of that lull where still no visits. So mostly, and kids aren't in spring ball yet. So 7-on-7 and working out is kind of all they do.
I have heard a ton about Mason Smith being on campus, him working out with the team. What have you heard from some of these newcomers? Derek Davis working out at running back. We just asked Kevin Faulk about it. What was your reaction to that?
Oh, I'll go Davis first. Well, a little surprised. It sounds like they have no real depth at running back right now, or they do have depth at running back, no healthy bodies. With Emory banged up, Davis Price banged up, it sounds like Trey Bradford had been banged up, and then your new guys don't get here, Kiner and Goodwin, until the summer. So they moved. He talked about one day they had Coy Moore in them, taking jet sweeps, but moved Davis over. Davis is an early enrollee that was really good. He was a really good running back in high school. I thought there was a stretch of film where he was a better running back than he was a safety, and there was a chance that he's kind of a Jacoby Stevens. He can play in the box at safety, a bigger kid. But they also don't have any depth at safety. So I would think he ultimately stays there unless Todd Harrison, Sage Ryan, and Langlois and Cam Lewis, and if you can expect that whole group to hold it down, then maybe, but no, they have enough running backs. I think that's a spring thing for them.
Deion Smith is on campus, one of the talented wide receivers in this class. Shea, I mean, I'm looking at these cats, these wide receivers, man.
They're good.
And I know that they've got Butte on campus. They got Moore on campus. They've got guys that have really made an impact, and it's tough to count on freshmen coming in. But isn't this group too talented where like 2 or 3 of them don't pop?
I think they have to. Well, we even saw last year Coy and Butte and those guys out. Alex Adams didn't play a ton, but a couple of true freshmen. I would think that this year, yeah. And look, we forget about Brian Thomas because he did it after signing day. But
I know.
You got Hilton, you've got Neighbors, and Jack Besh. Obviously, a lot of people like him. So, yeah, I would think that no doubt at least a couple of those guys are getting on the field. And I glossed over the Mason Smith. I've heard more about him than anybody. And he was a 5-star. He was the highest-ranked player in Louisiana. Defensive tackle for people wondering out of South Louisiana, but it seems like he's lived up to that billing, right? That he's come in, hit the ground running. O said this week that he wouldn't be surprised if he worked himself into the starting rotation. Is kind of how he described it. But that's a big sign considered that you've got 4 starters back. You've got some obviously talented other kids, but Roy came on strong at the end of the year. He's a big time player. The defensive line is I have more confidence in them than any position on the team.
Chili Vic inside of the bunker, hashtag Ask Shea. Aaron Anderson in his development, speaking of wide receivers, is he a 2022 wideout from Carr?
He is. He's a 2022 wideout from Carr. A lot of people think that he's trending up to being kind of right there with Shaz Preston as the best receiver in the state and had a really good year last year, the same the year prior. They've got a handful of receivers committed, but he's the best one so far.
What about quarterback and what's going on there? Is the Walker Howard commitment, is it 100% firm?
I think it is because I don't think they're recruiting. They've let him know that they're not taking another quarterback. And then you line yourself up for 2023 when you're going after the in-state guys, Arch and Eli and all of them. As long as they're not taking another quarterback, which I don't think they will, yeah, Walker's 1,000% locked in, and I bet he would be regardless.
What are the primary areas of concern in this group? Is it back to offensive line and linebacker?
I mean, I think you have to have an offensive line haul, right? That it saved you that all 5 starters came back, and that you've got a couple of young guys that Cam Wire and them that you play. That won't be the case a year from now. Most of those guys will just be gone. So either you've developed this whole group behind them and they're ready to roll, or you need to go sign some blue chippers.
What is the biggest...
And they've got Will Campbell and them already committed. You've got Bo Borderline. So Emory Jones is at Catholic. It's a really nice start for him, obviously.
And I've heard a lot of good things about Borderline. I don't, he was kind of off the radar.
Yeah.
As far, everybody was looking at Will Campbell, and Campbell's fantastic. But is Borderline, is he kind of under the radar?
I think he is for sure. A high 3-star type right now. But the thing I love the most about him, look, he's got the bloodlines and all that, but this isn't a kid that's 330. He's 265 right now, and as he gets bigger, it's just going to be good, strength, good muscle, good weight. When he gets here, he won't have to do a ton with Moffitt in terms of shedding. It'll be just more about building things up, and that's what you want with an offensive
He's
lineman.
like a puppy with big paws.
Yeah, that's
right. He's got to grow into that body.
Are you hearing anything about the Reed Gilbert situation on what could happen?
Is there some new buzz?
No, is he just not going to play football?
I wouldn't be surprised if he just or it goes to a JUCO or something. You hope he plays football somewhere.
He's got to play, man. He's just so good. Shea Dixon's joining us here. Remember, you can read his work at 247 Sports, online at 247sports.com. What's the biggest emphasis for you this spring? What are you looking the most at? Is there a position? Is there a coach? Is there something that you want to take away from this spring? The 15 practices have to mean something for LSU, right? They've got to.
They certainly pointed back last year to the absence of them meant something, that they weren't able to get the defense figured out. They weren't, all of that. So you've got a new OC, you've got a new DC. I think getting in the playbook, getting those guys on the same page is big. I think conditioning is one of the biggest things for this team.
He's talked a lot about that.
It was so bad last year.
I know.
It was bad, and we saw it from the first week when they're in an air raid game against Mississippi State. Guys are catching wind. Half the O-line can't get out of a stance, and certainly one of them. It didn't look great, and you could think it was probably because they didn't have a normal offseason. Conditioning for me with this group is huge, because if they come out ready to go, they're deep enough to play with anybody.
We just talked running backs with their coach, Kevin Faulk. Emory was a 5-star.
Yeah.
Price was a 4-star.
Yeah.
You got some
top
guys.
5 running backs.
You got guys coming in. How do you feel about that group?
It's deep. I think everybody's now at the point, right? I guess if you call it a money year, or a third year for Ty Davis Price and Emory, like the waiting game's over. You've been waiting for one of them to really separate themselves, and at times it had been Davis Price, and then they're both banged up at the end of the year. I think Trey Bradford's the guy you get out in space and you throw the football to, but I'm waiting on Emory or Davis Price to really take that leap. I would think it's Davis Price. He seems like you're who they've trusted for 2 years now as the every down guy, but certainly a lot of people can see the talent Emory's had and are just waiting for it to pop. And look, they've got a coach now, Jake Peets, who sort of, in Carolina at least, was known for spending a lot of time with Christian McCaffrey and, kind of being around a running back who knows how to run it between the tackles and catch it, a Clyde type of running back, right? I think Emory can do that.
You touched on safeties a bit when you were talking about the guys that they have signed in Sage Ryan and Matthew Langlois. That was a position that really let them down last season. Obviously, these newcomers are going to have to play. But how do you feel about the guys on campus right now when they mix with those new faces that come in the fall?
Yeah, I think safety is by far the biggest question mark for me on this team. And they're talking about moving Jay Ward from from corner to safety. But you've got Todd Harris and Cam Lewis are your vets. Todd Harris has
Cam
played
Lewis
more
is
than,
still there,
right? And Todd's played a little bit more than Cam, but you got to remember Todd came out in 2017. He was a top 100 player. It was Devonta Smith, Tyler Shelvin, and then Todd was number 3 in the state and was pretty highly sought after. He played right away on special teams. Everyone said he looked great, and then he got injured for the whole year in national championship season after playing a little in 18. And then last year just gets lost in the defense. I mean, who looked good? Nobody on the defense. So he's your experience, and like Coach O said, you've got Jordan Tolles is really the only guy coming back, and we saw him only in spurts. Mo Hampton's gone. So he's going to be starting probably with a freshman, no doubt playing with a bunch of freshmen. I think he's going to have to shoulder a good bit of leadership in that room. Him and Durante Jones, who the defensive coordinator is also the safeties coach now, I think are going to be pretty key to how quickly you can develop Sage and Langlois and Davis.
It feels like the defensive line is going to bust out. I mean, it feels like
right?
Andre Anthony is on he's on the cliff, right on the edge of kind of parachuting into this college football galaxy this year, where he's one of the dominant pass rushers. You got to feel good about Ojulari. I mean, that group, Ali Gay. I mean, that group seems like they are. This is what Ogeron envisioned when he
100%, right? Yeah. You've got all these older guys too: Neil Farrell, Glenn Logan, and then you get to right behind them are Mason Smith, Roy Guillory, Joseph Evans. I think this is a good. This is the deepest D line I've seen, and it's because all the 4 starters came back when normally, the seniors would not have been allowed to come back. They got that free year. Where no one had any eligibility docked a year ago because of the COVID stuff. So, it wouldn't normally happen, but because it did, they got some. There is no reason that's not one of the more productive pass rush, sack, defensive line units they've had here in a decade.
Thank you for getting the dogs babysat this morning.
No doubt.
Absolutely. I know that
they recovered
you last time. It's good to see you. Hair looks fantastic.
I got a cut.
I know. But you're still in that 48-hour window where you're still trying to judge whether or not it's a good cut or not. I will tell you from an outsider.
But I'm outside that window now. I might get a week.
Oh, okay. No, it looks great.
But it was
fantastic. It looks fantastic.
The 24-hour window is not a good look.
No, it's not.
That's what you just go for.
Shea, it could always be worse, bro. It could always be worse.
I like that Lloyd's giving us hair advice over here.
Straight out of 86. Yeah. Straight out of 86. Have a good, safe day. Everybody stay safe out there. It's going to be wet and sloppy. It's great to see our friend Tom Granning inside of the undisclosed location. Tom, tell no one where we are that you saw us this morning. The gear looks fantastic as well. Remember to keep up with Shea over at Go247. That is online at 247sports.com. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. You want recruiting news? You want football news? You want the latest on what's happening with LSU? That's your guy right there. You can catch him about every other week right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. As soon as we get on a schedule, come football season, we'll be locked in. But we'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Enjoy your Thursday. Go Chevrolet, driving us all the way throughout the day. Make sure and stop in Laplace and see Lee Carney, Nick Richard, and the crew, and tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.